Morning that did put down some hail producing activity, if you will, to the south of the metro. But you can see off to the west, we're starting to get showers and storms showing up on the scan. And the farther west we go, we have supercells that have fired up in the heat and humidity off to the west of us. There's one cluster near Champaign pushing towards Indianapolis. There's another cluster here in southern Illinois down to near Paducah. By the way, there's a tornado warning now in effect for the Paducah area. A tornado has been spotted on the ground heading towards that city. And that supercell is expected to be a long track supercell. In other words, move across portions of southern Kentucky over the next couple hours and could come close to our southern communities. So let's time out the storms for you. Now again, is this going to be a solid line with wind damage everywhere? No, I don't think so anymore. I think it's going to be cellular in nature. That means the storms will be scattered. That means the potential damage will also be scattered. You can see the latest futurecast showing a couple of clusters. That's the big supercell that's coming out of Paducah, and that could come very close to you folks in Grayson County, perhaps Bowling Green, and catch our southern communities as the evening hours wear on. Okay, here's 8 o'clock tonight. Notice we've got storms on top of the metro. Any one of these storms you see will be scattered has the potential to produce severe weather, hail, high winds, even a tornado spin up. So again, don't put down your guard. Stay very weather aware for the first half of the night. As we move towards 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, still in the thick of it, and then finally by midnight, everything is sinking off to the southeast. We'll be coming out of the severe alert. I think after midnight, we will be done with any and all severe weather chances, with even skies clearing as we move through the overnight period. So your detailed 12-hour forecast, we're 81, warm and humid right now, moving towards 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. We have the severe alert in effect for scattered strong to severe storms. Again, all hazards on the table. And then by midnight, the threat will be sinking off to the southeast. Vicki, Rick, overnight tonight, we'll actually see clearing skies as cooler, less humid air builds into the region. More on the storms and, of course, your weekend weather, guys. That is coming up in the next check.
All right. Thank you, Jay. Emergency management crews from around the area have been preparing for these storms all day.
Addie Miners spoke with those crews today to find out what preparation looks like. She joins us now live to tell us more. Addie?
Yeah, here in downtown Louisville, we're standing right next to MetroSafe, which is where Jefferson County's emergency management officials all gather to watch as these storms roll through here and are beginning to approach the area. Now, in other counties, they do have a similar setup, but just a little bit on a smaller scale. Still, all of the emergency management officials that I spoke with today all said that they were doing the same thing. They're getting crews on standby. They're also getting alerts out to the public on social media, and some are even getting community shelters ready. Here in Jefferson County, emergency management officials just came into MetroSafe to begin watching the storms as it closes in on our area. Now, Emergency Management Deputy Director Kelly Jones says the main thing crews will look at is what kind of damage the storm is doing in other places before it arrives here in Louisville. Then they'll have appropriate staff here at MetroSafe so they can respond accordingly after the storm passes through.
We look at a lot of things. Do we get flash flooding? What's the flooding look like? What's the wind damage? What's the wind shear? Did a tornado end up touching down? A lot of that plays into the fact is whether or not people need temporary shelter and housing and that type thing. Where does it hit, if it hits at all? It kind of self-dictates.
Yeah, and another really interesting thing that Kelly pointed out to me is about outdoor tornado sirens. He says if you're indoors, you should not be relying on outdoor sirens to give you that warning. Instead, you should have multiple ways to get a tornado warning if one were to be issued. A couple ways you can do that. You can download our free WLKY mobile app, or you can sign up for the city's Lens Alerts. Now, we'll have more information on how you can do that ahead of these storms available on our website. Live in downtown Louisville, I'm Addie Miners, WLKY. WLKY News.
Good stuff. Thanks, Addie. LG&E and KU are also prepared to keep families safe tonight. Officials say they have crews on standby, ready to respond to any downed power lines or outages. With high wind gusts expected, they are warning people to be aware of fallen trees taking out power lines. Officials are reminding folks to not go near any down lines.
And always assume that that down line is energized. And not only the line itself, but also the limbs and the tree branches and stuff could be energized as well. So always stay away from that area. If it looks like a really dangerous hazard.
Along with reported downed power lines, you can also check out LG&E and KU's online outage map. It tells you which areas are without power and gives you an estimate on when you can expect service to be restored.
In Oldham County, preparations for the severe weather started early. The school district dismissed all students 2 hours early this afternoon. Officials say they wanted to ensure all students were home and buses were off the roads before the storms hit. JCPS also canceled all afternoon activities today because of the risk of severe weather. However, at this time, we are told any proms planned for tonight are still on, but individual schools could decide to change your ride.
Hi, folks. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardoso here at WLKY. Okay, the first tornado warning for the viewing area has just been issued about 50 to 60 miles north of the metro. This is Jackson County. This is Jennings County of southern Indiana. Tornado warning in effect, and this includes the city of Seymour down to near Crothersville, and this storm is moving off towards the east-northeast at speeds of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Right now, this is radar indicated, but other storms farther off to the northwest, even the southwest in western Kentucky, have had confirmed tornadoes. So this is a dangerous setup across the lower Ohio Valley on this Friday evening. You're looking at the velocity scan here. Again, here is Seymour, Jackson County. That's Interstate 65 and U.S. Highway 31 in the eastern portion of Jackson County. This is Jennings County, and you can see the rotation that we're talking about right now seems to be fairly broad, but there could be a couple of areas of rotation that we're seeing right now. One here in south and southwestern Jennings County, and it looks like perhaps another one trying to form in between Seymour and Crothersville. So the bottom line, if you are in this tornado warning polygon, we need you in your place of safety immediately. Of course, that includes Seymour, that includes Uniontown, down to Crothersville, and then over into the Hayden area and very close to Vernon and North Vernon as well. We need you in your place of safety. Tracking the most dangerous part of the storm, that is the rotation. It's moving quickly off to the east-northeast, so we're talking areas near Grayford, Butlerville, Bryansburg, anywhere from 7:53 to just after 8 o'clock. That rotation will be very, very close to your area. Keep in mind, with how the atmosphere is set up on this Friday evening, once these storms start to rotate, it doesn't take them long to produce some type of severe weather. Typically, it's a damaging wind gust and hail first, and then as the rotation tightens and stretches, we can get that tornado touchdown, of course, down on the ground. So that's the expectation for this storm now here in eastern portions of Jackson County, racing off to the east-northeast. Other communities in the path of this storm, the rotating part of the storm, include the Staples Ford area, 740, Walnut Ridge, 753, down towards Butlerville, 758. New Carrollton, just after 8 o'clock, and the Bryansburg area as we get closer to 8:05. So that is a big storm that is in our northern communities. Other storms are starting to fire up immediately off to the southwest of Jefferson County. Some of those now reaching towards the Jefferson County Memorial Forest. But you can see this is Bullitt County, northern Hardin, on into Meade County, southern Harrison. Little blow up of showers and storms. Not severe right now, but we're tracking them. We're watching them closely. And then look at this, west of Bowling Green. We've been tracking this storm ever since it was out in southeastern Missouri, and this has had a tornado warning with it pretty much for the life of the storm. That is the last 3 hours or so. Well, it's going to come fairly close to the Bowling Green area. This is a tornado warning right now, very close to Hopkinsville. Of course, that's off to the southwest of our viewing area, but yeah, if you have friends and family that reside in Hopkinsville and farther off to the east, Russellville over towards Bowling Green, help me out. Give them a call, give them a text, let them know what's going on. Still a powerful storm just off to the west and tracking eastbound, and with it, a tornado warning. Okay, of immediate concern, what's going on in our viewing area, that's eastern Jackson County and Jennings counties of Indiana. Suzanne's a pretty decent rotation showing up there.
Most definitely very strong winds are showing up on here, Jay, that we're paying at that last check. We were looking at winds about 107 miles per hour. Of course, that's a little bit higher up in the atmosphere. So definitely some very strong winds associated with this particular storm. Haven't seen any storm reports. I know Mo and Eric are watching for some of those storm reports to see if Indy has reported any damage. I know up in Bloomington, Jay, they were saying that they were seeing some debris from some of that tornadic activity up into the Bloomington County near Marion County.
Yeah, so we've got these huge storms blowing up pretty much all over the place right now. And in the viewing area, that is happening first in our northern communities, about 50 to 60 miles due north of the metro area. A nasty looking cell. That is fairly nasty looking rotation showing up immediately east of Staples Ford. This is the Jackson-Jennings County line right there, so we are firmly in Jennings County. But again, if you are sitting here in Jennings County, especially central, west, and southwestern Jennings County, get to your place of safety immediately. Tight rotation showing up on the radar scan. Suzanne, can you pop up the correlation coefficient for me real quick? What this product shows is like particles in the atmosphere, and when you see basically the reds or the magentas, that's raindrops. If we start to see varying colors like perhaps blue, and it's co-located with the tight rotation, that tells us that we have debris that could be flying around, i.e. a tornado that could be on the ground. And so far, we don't see that. Now, we do up here to the northwest of the viewing area, storms that have been moving very close to Bloomington and off to the east of there. Those are confirmed tornadoes on the ground, and that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about on the correlation coefficient. You can see the greens and the blues. It's co-located with the tight rotation. That tells us there's a tornado on the ground. So that's why this product is so very valuable to us when we're looking at possible tornado touchdowns. The good news, we don't see that right now in Jennings County. However, we do see some pretty tight rotation. And again, it's sitting right here immediately south of the Four Corners area. So we got to watch this thing very, very closely. Meteorologist Matt Milosevic also tracking storms really all over the viewing area. Matt, they're just starting to pop up now. They got storms just southwest of town right now.
Yeah, Jay, they are. I'm looking at those, and there's some indication that we might see some small, perhaps pea-sized hail or a little bit greater on the far southern side of town, close to the Bullitt County line. If you're over towards Fairdale, closer to Valley Station, where that particular cell is starting to blossom some. And that rain and heavy rain at that carries back towards Fort Knox and also into Meade County. So have eyes on that, Jay. There's a couple of cores there, too. Also east of Interstate 65 into the eastern portions of Bullitt County that also might have a little bit of hail with them. Now, in terms of the hail tracker, what you're looking at is farther to the north is what we're looking in towards, and this is where we're still dealing with these tornado warnings through southern and central Indiana, the one in the WLKY region, eastern Jackson County through Jennings County. So we'll keep close eyes on that in the coming minutes, Jay. But the main storm right now in the WLKY viewing area continues to be that storm now moving into Jennings County.
Okay, Matt, thanks so very much. I've moved over to the Weather Center here now. If you would come on out. And I've got Eric Zernick as well as Mo Rose with me. And what we're looking for, guys, any reports coming in from you so far?
No reports, just really concerned on the Bloomington one, but they're also watching possibilities of other rotations, including the one that we have just to the south of Seymour.
Nothing in Jennings County just yet?
Nothing in Jennings
Okay,
yet.
Mo, anything on your side just yet?
Nothing in Jennings County. We haven't seen any storm reports, but we have been, these storms have a history of producing really large hailstones, and so just kind of keeping an eye out for any larger size hail. But this seems to be the theme for a lot of the storms that have developed out to the west and now heading towards us, along with those strong tornadoes.
Okay, Mo, thanks so very much. I get the feeling that we're just getting into the thick of this. The storms are going to continue to likely increase in coverage and intensity over the next couple of hours, and that's because the wind in the atmosphere is going to be increasing. It's going to be picking up. There's going to be more convergence, so more lifting going on of this warm, moist, unstable air mass. And once those storms start popping up in random spots, well, they tap into the strong jet stream winds aloft. You get rotation and you get some severe weather. And that is at least what we're expecting rolling through the rest of the evening. So here we are. This is Jennings County. Here's Vernon, North Vernon. And you can see State Highway 3 as it comes out of Vernon and North Vernon down to near Lovett. And still a pretty powerful wind field going on. If there's some rotation right there, it's showing up immediately west of Highway 3 there in west and southwestern portions of Jennings County. So the rotation is quite broad, quite weak. We like to see that. So far, this has been a radar-indicated possible tornado. No confirmed touchdowns or sightings or anything like that. But nonetheless, we're pinging winds that could be 50, 60 miles per hour with this storm complex as it moves off towards the east and also the northeast. Suzanne, a little bit farther south in the metro, are you picking up anything down near Okolona now? That storm seems to be increasing a little bit.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of dissect that a little bit and take a look at some of the kind of interior of the storm. So far, we're not seeing much as far as a lot of rotation here showing up. We are obviously going to be seeing lots of lightning, quite a bit of heavy rainfall here. I know Matt was looking at some of the camera shots that we were showing, some of those building cumulus clouds that we were seeing right along 42. And also, of course, farther down to the south, we're seeing some very heavy rainfall moving across areas of the Gene Snyder, a little bit closer over to the Bullitt County, Jefferson County line. We don't have any warnings for the metro, but obviously a number of warnings farther off to the north, all of which are tornado warnings. Of utmost concern for us at this point, really heading into Jennings County at this point. That's the storm that we are watching the most closely at this time.
Matt, looking at the analyzer at that storm off to the north, you seeing anything different, any intensification, or how's that velocity field looking? You know, Jay, looking at the storm relative on that, it has come down a little bit. And I want to show you here, I'm going to put it in, put a loop in here in just a minute. And I want to take you back a couple of clicks. I'm going to go in, that's what I'm looking at right now in Storm Analyzer. This was a couple of scans ago, and North Vernon at the top of the screen there on the Storm Analyzer radar, you can see that. It's off to the south and southwest where we had the pinks and the greens coming together here. This was a better, tighter rotation. As it has moved forward in time, a couple of scans, that's now pushing a little farther off to the north and east, and we don't see that tightest of rotation that we had just a few scans ago. So that's what we're looking for. You see sustained rotation there, but as it moves a little closer to the south of North Vernon, I should say, that rotation has gotten just a slight bit weaker. Doesn't mean the tornado's gone or the tornado warning threat is over, but at least in the last couple of scans, perhaps a downward trend there in that rotation, Jay. Okay, Matt, thanks so very much. Okay, so let's kind of pull out, take a look at the entire viewing area. Let's reset and see what's going on here. Let's go back to our Doppler radar. There's the viewing area, and you can see so far, early on this Friday evening, these storms are isolated to widely scattered. We don't have that long linear appearance that's going to rake across any one location.
Warnings now.
Okay.
Issued.
All right, we got 4.
For the metro, including Bullitt County for that storm that you were pointing out a little bit earlier. I'm going to add those on because I took off the severe thunderstorm warnings before so we could concentrate on the tornado warnings.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, right
there it is. The new severe thunderstorm warning is just now being issued for portions of the metro. But as I was talking about, we don't have that long linear appearance that's going to rake across the entire viewing area. Right now, these are widely scattered, and that's what we're expecting with this possible severe weather, to be widely scattered. Not everybody's going to see it, at least for the next hour or two. This could change later on this evening as these storms grow upscale. Okay, so here we are, zoomed in tight. Downtown, right underneath the banner here, here's Germantown. You can see the Waterson Expressway. There's the Gene Snyder, southern Jefferson County. The storm is exploding. This thing is intensifying quite quickly now. Very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and maybe a little bit of hail is trying to form here along the Gene Snyder, really running from Highview back off to the west-southwest. And the radar right now is pinging a little bit of hail. Now, this is likely nickel-sized hail or a little bit smaller. But again, this storm is intensifying. The updraft is really starting to increase. And as that continues, this hail could continue to get a little bit larger as everything moves off towards the east-northeast. So if you reside to the south of, let's say, the Waterston Expressway, the southern 1/2 to 1/3 of Jefferson County, on into Bullitt County, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next several minutes for the possibility of some hail, very heavy rainfall, and some wind that could be upwards of 50 to 60 miles an hour at least in random spots. Keep in mind the winds aloft as you get off the ground are very strong. So as these storms pop up, they tap into those winds and can bring them down towards the ground. Let's go over to the storm analyzer here real quick. Okay, what do we got here, Suzanne?
So this is actually 65 and the Gene Snyder, showing you where that storm is. Right now you can see the heavy rainfall. It looks like a number of people, because of that heavy rainfall, have decided to try to take shelter under that overpass there, which is not really a safe place to go during a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning. So do keep that in mind. Always, of course, safer to be off the road, but stay in your vehicle. We're seeing lots of heavy rainfall. Again, that is 65 and the Gene Snyder that we're watching. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for the metro, including this part. And you can see some of that heavy rainfall. So you can see lots of lightning here and lots of heavy rain in that corridor of Interstate 65 and the Gene Snyder here.
All right, Matt, some ominous looking clouds. Mo, what are we looking at there on the tower cam?
Yeah, if we look at the tower camera, you can start to see some of the storm structure, I believe, that we're looking off towards the storm that's now in the southern portions of the Louisville area. That's showing some of those deep gray skies. Now, that's our downtown camera shooting to the east. If we can go to our WLKY tower camera, you'll be able to see some of the storms a little better. Actually, I think that one has now been spun around, perhaps to the south. But anyway, you can see the storms across the area. That's our downtown KFC Yum Center camera as well. The tower camera, though, shows some billowing gray clouds. There you see a little bit more of the structure of those thunderstorms. So we're definitely getting very stormy across the metro and the southern sides of town, especially, Jay, with that heavy rainfall. And we saw how that's starting to impact traffic, too, on the interstate. So we're scanning the skies, both on the radar with the cameras that we have across the area. We'll continue to keep you updated on it.
All right, Matt, thank you so very much. So severe thunderstorms are starting to pop up close to the metro. This is southern portions of Jefferson County of Kentucky, where a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. That extends into northern Bullitt County. So anywhere from Valley Station to Fairdale, over towards Fern Creek, Glen Mary, and then on into western portions of Shelby County. You too underneath this severe thunderstorm warning. And you can see the radar is pinging a higher wind gust very, very close to the Gene Snyder and just south of the outer loop in southern Jefferson County. That brighter shade of red or that pink corresponding to winds upwards of 50, 55 miles an hour. So again, these are going to be some gusty storms along with the heavy rain that's going to be pulling on through. The radar was pinging a little bit of hail. It didn't look like much, but we'll continue to monitor that. There you go. There it is right there from Fairdale down to near Medora in southwestern Jefferson County, down Dixie Highway, for example. And as far as the wind, hail, and shear parameter goes, don't see any strong twisting and turning of the wind with this particular cell in southern Jefferson and Bullitt counties, but I do see some small hail and some very heavy rainfall along with gusty winds blowing out from the storm. Now, the tornado warning to the north, that continues, and we have some subtle rotation, some broad rotation as it continues mainly in southern and southeastern sections of Jennings County. This is to the south of North Vernon and Vernon. Right there you can see a little bit of rotation showing up close to Walnut Ridge and just off to the east of Highway 3 as it kind of snakes its way in southern Jennings County. The rotation detector not picking up much. So again, this rotation is quite weak and likely not producing a tornado at this time, but we will watch it very, very closely. And this will be pulling out of the viewing area altogether in relatively short order. Now we focus on what's happening right here in the metro with the heavy rain, the severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect. This little cluster continues to grow upscale. We have some heat and humidity out there. We've got the wind energy, of course. And we think these scattered storms will continue to become more numerous over the next couple of hours as this entire system moves in from the west. Of course, it's been producing severe weather ever since early afternoon in eastern portions of Missouri. Well, now the energy is starting to work into the lower Ohio Valley. You can see how scattered these little supercellular clusters are, but we are expecting more activity to form and everything become more widespread. Everything surging off to the east quite quickly at speeds of 40 to 50 miles per hour. And guys, just about every little cluster here is producing its own little batch of severe weather, whether it's hail, high wind, or even a tornado touchdown.
And it looks like farther down to the south, we have just had a new tornado warning issued. That storm that you were talking about, that Jay and Matt, you were talking about a little bit closer over to the Clifty area. Now it looks like they've upgraded it to a confirmed tornado warning for Todd County. Again, that's just outside the viewing area, but something that bears repeating that we're watching a little bit farther downstate. So where you're seeing those purple shades, those are areas where there have been confirmed tornadoes or there is a tornado emergency that has been issued. So you want to take kind of a larger view here and see all of the warnings that we have all across our region, an indication of this environment that we are currently dealing with. And I think Matt has a look at kind of the bigger picture here.
Yeah, Suzanne, kind of what you were talking about, too, is that we have a couple of cells, both those ones into central Indiana that have been a little better put together and getting longer lived across the region. Also, one of note, the Marion County, Illinois storm, that was a confirmed tornado with destructive reports of homes damaged and buildings damaged in that area of southern Illinois. If that particular storm can hold together as one of these longer track supercells, we would watch that as it crosses into western Kentucky, perhaps affecting near the Owensboro area. And if it were to hold together, parts of the WLKY region. That's still a couple hours away to track that. We have another one moving a little closer to the Bowling Green area down into southern and southwestern Kentucky. That's a storm that developed all the way back into southeastern Missouri. So that long-lived cell has been with us for the better part of the last 2 to 2.5 hours and continues to produce tornado warnings now just off to the west of Bowling Green. So we'll keep close eyes on both of those cells and also monitoring a third one that's moving just south of Cape Girardeau. That's another very intense cell, Jay, that we're monitoring farther out to the west. So we'll just have to see if these maintain their strength. A couple of them have for the better part of the last hour or two, and they're going to start creeping a little closer to the WLKY region. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Matt, thank you so very much. Yeah, I have a feeling the deeper we go into the evening, we're going to get more and more busy with severe thunderstorm warnings and possible tornado warnings as well. We still have that one tornado warning in the WLKY viewing area, about 60 miles or so due north of the metro. This is Jennings County. The Seymour area a little bit farther off to the west, but here's Vernon and North Vernon, central Jennings County. This is quickly racing off to the east-northeast. A little bit of brighter green that was showing up on the rotation detector, but you can certainly see it looks like maybe a little bit of a pendant trying to hang on the backside of that storm, the southwestern flank. That implies good inflow and a rotating updraft, so that's why the tornado warning has been issued. And this thing is racing off to the east-northeast. Will soon move out of Jennings County. That takes it out of the viewing area, but it's going to head into Ripley County of southeastern Indiana. So some of the communities in the path of the rotating part of the cell would include New Marion, the Olean area, Elrod, Stringtown, Delaware, and that takes it farther off to the east and out of the viewing area altogether. All right, Suzanne, let's go a little farther south. Let's go back to the metro where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. By the way, Eric, anything coming out of that severe thunderstorm warning?
Just some pea-sized hail along the border of Bullitt County.
Okay, so Great to hear. Nothing as far as wind goes just yet?
No.
Okay. There's your severe thunderstorm warning. Southern Jefferson County, Bullitt County. It's now pretty much out of Hardin County, but it does include you folks in Spencer County and the western 1/3, let's say, of Shelby County for this little thunderstorm complex that is producing the potential of 50 to maybe 60-mile-an-hour winds and a little bit of hail. Suzanne, where are we here?
That's the Gene Snyder right at Preston Highway, so you can see just some very heavy rainfall. It doesn't really even look that windy here, but that's a live look. Some of the rain that is still coming down here. The hail reports have certainly come down from where we were a little bit earlier, where it was showing a pretty decent swath of hail into the Fairdale area. So bottom line, still a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Jefferson County, the southern flank of Jefferson County, into Bullitt County, and then extending over into Shelby County. So perhaps some very strong winds. And sometimes these storms can kind of cycle through. They strengthen, they weaken, and they strengthen back up. So that.
Take the tower cam shot. This is a beautiful shot as we're looking north from the city here, and this is up towards that storm that's in Jennings County. Look at that supercellular storm that has popped up. You can see the various structured layers of that cell reaching tops upwards of almost 50,000 feet. Of course, you get the warm, moist air that comes into the storm at the base of it and then spirals upward into the storm top. And as that updraft is spinning around, well, it can produce a tornado if that spin tightens, stretches, and reaches down towards the ground. And that's what we've been a little worried about in Jennings County, that exact same thing, and that's why the tornado warning has been issued up that way. But that should be moving out in relatively short order. Okay, Tyler, back to our Doppler radar, please, sir. And we're zoomed in somewhat tight on southern portions of Jefferson County, Bullitt County, here's Spencer County and Shelby County, and the severe thunderstorm warning that continues. Now, this is south of the Watterson Expressway, so if you really reside anywhere from the Watterson and points north up to Prospect, you're in fine shape right now. Everything remains just off to your south. Additional storms will likely redevelop, though, a little bit later on tonight. But as for now, southern Jefferson County, northern Bullitt County getting the brunt of this particular severe storm, and this entire storm is not producing 60-mile-an-hour winds. Just very isolated, very widely scattered parts of this storm are doing that. And right here, so there's Highview, there's the Gene Snyder. I'm in south and southeastern Jefferson County, the J-Town area, Glen Mary, and of course, we also have Fern Creek as well. It's this region that and maybe seeing winds upwards of 50 to 60 miles an hour as everything races off to the east and also the northeast. Suzanne?
What you're looking at right here, Jay, is the Gene Snyder and Bardstown Road here. So you can see, obviously, lots of heavy rainfall. It looks like we've got a truck that's over onto the side of the road, pouring down rain. This is going to be just a little bit south of where we were measuring some of those winds, the upwards of about 64 miles per hour. So just an indication of what's actually happening on the ground. So again, this is a live look at the Gene Snyder right near Bardstown Road. So we'll switch over and show you what it looks like actually on the radar as we get in a little bit tighter there. So that's right there where we were watching, and that was giving you a live perspective, and that's where we were showing you just a little bit south of maybe Fern Creek, where we were picking up winds of about 64 miles per hour, at least showing up on the radar.
Okay, Suzanne, thanks so very much. So let's kind of reset here for folks who are just joining us on this Friday evening, you know, kind of wondering, hey, we had this severe weather threat. Well, it's starting to happen now across southern Indiana as well as the Commonwealth. These individual, what we call supercellular storms are popping up, moving in from the west. We are expecting them to kind of grow upscale. More activity will try to form as the evening hours wear on, and that's because there's a cold front farther off to the west. As that front nears, it'll lift that warm, moist, unstable air. We'll see additional storms start to pop. But as it stands right now, these individual clusters are certainly producing some severe weather. Tornadoes, damaging straight line winds, and even some hail. Got some gusty winds close to the metro right now, especially southern and southeastern Jefferson County. Otherwise, what's concerning me, we've got a lot of people who have kids down at Western Kentucky. I realize they're out for the summertime, but they may be staying on campus. They may be staying there for their summer jobs. You know, give them a quick call, folks. Let them know what's going on, as we have some pretty powerful storms very close to the Bowling Green area as everything is pushing off towards the east very, very quickly down that way. And that storm has been long-lived, guys. Boy, that's been a supercellular storm, a tornadic storm, ever since what, South Central Missouri?
Yeah, Jay, we were tracking that going into the 5 o'clock hour and the newscast. So that is a cell that's been on the ground for 3 hours right now. I also want to draw your attention, Jay, on Storm Analyzer radar. If we can take that source, this particular storm, it is just north of the WLKY area, moving out of Brown County, Indiana, south of Nashville into Bartholomew County, very close to the Columbus area. This is a very well put together, destructive storm. They are warning this for a tornado on the ground. I also want to show you, Jay, check this out on the correlation coefficient. It's bad news, but there is a debris spike because this is the Indianapolis radar. The debris is so thick in that tornado that it's kind of causing a spiking effect there for the last couple of scans of the radar. So this is a very dangerous storm for our friends just north of the WLKY area. Going to be very close to the Columbus, Indiana and I-65 region there in about 10 or 15 minutes.
That is a nasty storm. All right, Matt, thank you so very much. So far, yeah, oh boy, that is awful looking, an incredibly violent looking supercellular storm that is really just spinning up. There it is, coming in from the west. Okay, this is immediately north of the viewing area, but we'll continue to watch it. And it looks like by and large that will stay to the north of the viewing area. Thank goodness for us, but boy, oh boy, our friends up there in Columbus, we're going to have to watch that very closely. A fairly populated area with a big tornado on the ground moving in their direction. Okay, so the storm that was in Jennings County, we can say goodbye to that tornado warning. That storm has moved out of the WLKY viewing area. The rest of southern Indiana looks to be in the clear for now. However, more storms are developing the farther west you go. On the storm analyzer here, Matt, if you would, take me down a little bit farther south. Let's go into the metro. We have that severe thunderstorm warning for this cluster that looks quite discombobulated. Isn't very well developed right now. Hopefully that trend will continue. But you know what? Any storm that pops up, at least tonight, with the environment we have, has the potential to turn severe just because of all the wind energy that these storms have access to. And you can see that very heavy rain and also the likelihood of gusty winds, perhaps some small hail, moving from Shepherdsville over towards and close to Mount Washington, passing across southeastern Jefferson County on into Taylorsville and the Taylorsville Lake area of Spencer County. Again, this is not a tornado-warned storm, but this is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing some high winds and a little bit of hail as well. Everything pushing off to the east and also the northeast. Matt?
Jay was just checking in on the Weather Service line here, and they were reporting as big as nickel-sized hail there at their office there. So that's Gene Snyder, Smyrna Lane, south side of town there. So there have been some hail reports with this, but yes, not anything organized in terms of the cells there in the last couple of recent scans. But watch out for a lot of heavy rain and wind, that is for sure. Still a severe thunderstorm warning there. We're also trying to get you some images too from the storm that's still going up towards Columbus, Indiana too. And then also we'll keep eyes on what's going on in Bowling Green. So just a little bit to the north and a little bit to the south of the WLKY region. Suzanne, this is I-65 in Columbus, I believe?
Yeah, that's right. And you can see that camera is shaking mightily. And so this is actually just out ahead of the storm. So that storm has yet to cross over Interstate 65 up into the Columbus area, just a little bit north of the WLKY viewing area. But you can see that camera is shaking, and it looks like we are also picking up some hail there. So this is, again, just a little bit to the east of that. Let me show you a couple other pictures just to give you an idea of what's happening. You can see this is not looking bad here. This is 65, a little bit south of Columbus, where it looks just fine. But certainly those people who are in the Columbus area will certainly want to take to place of safety at this point because they do have that confirmed tornado. So we'll keep watching for some images for you as warnings still in our area, including for Jennings County just recently. It looks like, do we get another one for Jennings County until 8:45 now?
Well, yeah, what they're doing
So
is
that's just for that.
Right, it's the very, very far northern tip of that storm. Let's go over to the Doppler radar, guys, if we could. Okay, there we go. And you can see, here it is. It's from the Scipio area over towards Brewersville, at the very northern sections of Jennings County. And it's also for this storm, you see, that's moving across the Columbus area and also over towards New Bern, for example. Now, to me, it looks like that storm's going to hold north of Jennings County, but just as a precaution, they just want to make sure anybody northern Jennings County and points off to the north, be on the lookout. That is a nasty storm with a tornado on the ground with it.
Yeah, most definitely. And we'll, of course, have some eyes on that as it moves through a very populated area of the Columbus area, then moving across areas of Elizabethtown. Again, that's outside the viewing area, Elizabethtown, Indiana. But just perhaps brushing by Jennings County. So a tornado warning, of course, still now in effect for Jennings County until 8:45 for the very northern section north of Brewersville.
Matt, you're coming in with video from Bloomington.
Yeah, we're looking at our Lynx 3 here product, and I want you to look. It's kind of off in the distance here, but Derek Bailey sent us this from Bloomington, Indiana. You got to look there. They're zooming in to that funnel cloud. It's the development of what has been reported as a tornado in Bloomington. That's the same storm that's been moving through Brown County and soon into Bartholomew County, and it is what has prompted that warning into northern Jennings County, even if that storm stays just a little bit north of the WLKY region. This is just a little look at what some of these storms are producing out there just north of the WLKY area. Jay, easy to see that funnel cloud in the rotation as well.
Yeah, there is so much energy in the atmosphere. You get a decently organized storm, and that's what it can produce. No question about it. And this is about 70 miles or so due north of the metro area at this point in time. Okay, back to our Doppler radar. We are pulled out. We're taking a look at the entire viewing area, all of southern Indiana, through portions of the Commonwealth. And on your screen, we can see flashing. All right, guys up in the booth, let's go to the Doppler radar if you can hear me. Can we do that? There you go. Thank you. There are the warnings, as you can see, east of Seymour. That tornado warning has expired. That's good news. However, we have tornado warnings, and for good measure, up near Columbus, immediately north of the viewing area. A violent tornado on the ground. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that continues for southeastern Jefferson County, northeastern Bullitt County, and that arcs on into Shelby and Spencer counties. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado, but a storm that has at least sporadic areas of wind that could be upwards of 50, 55 miles an hour. Then we go a little bit farther off to the south, a newly developing storm here in Hart County. We'll watch it close, but we get down close to Bowling Green, and especially west of there, this has been a long-lived supercell that's been producing tornadoes on occasion ever since south central and southeastern Missouri. Well, there it is right now, closing in on the Bowling Green area. Still a very intense storm, one that bears watching, and we'll keep you posted as it does get closer and closer to Bowling Green. Other huge storms, which are showing signs of actually growing upscale now, running from Morganfield down to near Paducah and points off to the southwest. Yes, well away from the viewing area, but you can see the sheer energy, and these are starting to really take off, starting to increase in intensity and coverage, and we think that trend will continue to build eastbound, mainly across the Commonwealth, close to Louisville, and especially south over the next couple of hours. So we are certainly not out of the woods, and I would say we got to get through at least the 11 o'clock, maybe even the midnight hour. Once we get past that time period, the severe threat will finally start to drop off as the cold front moves through. A new severe thunderstorm warning just issued, another one downstream to include the southeastern portions of Shelby County, and that'll take us into Franklin County as well. Is that correct?
Into Franklin County.
Franklin
that
County.
Continues until 8:45, and our current time is 8:13. So for about another half hour, that warning has been extended, mainly for wind, perhaps even a little bit of hail as well. So bottom line, it's one of those nights where these storms just keep firing one after another, and some of those storms quite violent, especially farther down to the south. And I think, Mo, you were actually tracking an accident. Was that up in Jackson County?
That was actually in Jackson County. So that happened about 20 minutes to a half an hour ago. That's on 65 northbound. So what we have, if you can pull up the BAM real quick, we can show you a view of the backup on 65 north as you're traveling towards Highway 50. There was a semi that did jackknife, and it was the US 50 bridge that was struck. And so they've got an inspector heading out there. The left lane is going to be closed. So that's causing quite a backup. A lot of folks who are heading north on 65, if you're in a hurry, maybe hop off. But also just something you got to remember, some of these violent storms, they're high wind gusts with them, heavy torrential rain. You got to be so careful driving through these cells. If you can stay off the road until this whole system exits, that would be your best bet. There's a lot of hail with some of these storms that could cause damage to your vehicle. So you just got to be super careful. And if you can just stay out of the way of any of these storms, that's just your safest bet this evening.
Okay, Mo, thanks so very much. Matt, that storm out in Mount Eden, eastern portions of Spencer County, looking fairly mean right now.
Yeah, it is, Jay. And I tell you what, if we can put this in the BAM and storm analyzer, I want to show you something here. We're going to watch and look at a couple of pixels here on the storm analyzer radar. And I want to show you, it's just near the Mount Eden area. If we can go over towards, let's go over to storm analyzer if we can on this. Or we could stick to this. I want to show you this. I want to show you the velocities very close to Mount Eden. That is showing you where that little area of blue is where we could get a very intense wind gust, really momentarily in the Mount Eden area. And this storm was showing hints of that a little back further off to the west and southwest, closer to Taylorsville. It was pinging a couple of those green pixels that were going 55 to 65 miles per hour. Some indications are even higher than that, very close to the Mount Eden area, Jay. So within that severe thunderstorm warning, that newer one that has been posted, we have that. And also still some indications that we could have some perhaps nickel to penny sized hail in some of the higher cloud tops that are pushing upwards of 40,000 feet now with those storms. So we're watching it all very closely, but also keeping eyes on that wind gust very close to Mount Eden.
Okay, Matt, thanks so very much. So again, severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Taylorsville Lake, the Mount Eden area, as Matt was talking about, and this is pushing on into southeastern portions of Shelby County, heading towards the capital city and Franklin County as well. Let's go back to our Doppler radar. And as you can see, we have the severe thunderstorms, the heavy rain right now with this particular severe thunderstorm warning running from Mount Washington and points off to the east-northeast. This entire zone, as you can see, the storm tops are upwards of 45,000 feet. Of course, the taller the storm top, that means the more energy you have, the stronger the updraft. The stronger the updraft, the stronger the thunderstorm. It's really as simple as that. And then you add wind energy, and you can get these updrafts that start rotating and produce the severe weather. As far as rainfall amounts past 12 hours, and we did pick up some pretty decent rain in spots even this morning and some hail, but some locations over the past 12 hours nearing 1, 2, locally 3 inches of rain from the thunderstorms we've seen the past 12 hours moving across portions of the Commonwealth. Watching from downtown or southern portions of Indiana, I mean, it's pleasant outside right now. It's a little warm, it's a little bit soupy, but nothing threatening the downtown region at this time. Matter of fact, a good chunk of southern Indiana is also looking fairly quiet right now. Farther off to the south, perhaps a little bit of light rain closer to E-Town. We got some storms trying to fire up in northern Hart County, closer to Hammondville and Bonneville. And then as you move off towards the west-southwest, towards Morgantown and immediately north of Bowling Green, well, that's that long-lived supercell that's been producing hail, high wind, and occasional occasional tornadoes as it's been moving off to the east. Then you get into another big cluster of nasty weather close to Evansville back to Paducah, and that cluster of storms producing, again, high winds, hail, and occasional tornadoes. And all those pink polygons that are flashing, like the one we're zoomed in right there, very close to Columbus, that means a tornado is on the ground right now. And that's been a nasty storm up in Columbus. That was also the storm that put down that tornado in Bloomington. Matt showed us that video a few moments ago out of the Bloomington area. Well, that storm is now moving across Bartholomew County and is racing off towards the east and northeast. So far, guys, most of this very, very nasty weather, at least to this point, knock on wood too, has missed the metro and the viewing area to the north or the south.
Yeah, certainly up to the south, you can see it is an absolute mess out there. All of those warnings, a number of tornado warnings. Those are the red boxes that you're seeing. Then the purple where we have confirmed tornadoes. Look at all of those warnings. Again, that's just to the north of us. Then we take a look a little bit farther back out to the west, knocking on the door of Owensboro, just to the south of Evansville. Violent tornadoes there. And then farther down to the south, you can see into the Bowling Green area. We're watching for tornado warnings there. And then back out to the west into the Paducah area, we are seeing confirmed tornadoes and tornado warnings. So the environment certainly conducive to violent weather across the region. So it doesn't seem like it takes much for us to really kind of tap into some of that energy. And then we start to see some of these storms really firing up. I know if you're in the metro, you're saying, hey, it's not too bad out there, but certainly we are watching for violent storms all across our region. So something that we're going to continue to monitor throughout the night. Now, the good news is, Jay, we were talking about this. This will not be an all-night event for most of us. We are talking about it going through the evening hours and into the early overnight hours, but hopefully we'll be able to get you some sleep tonight.
Absolutely, Suzanne. Thank you so very much. Tyler up in the booth. Let's take Storm Analyzer real quick. Matt, give us a little synopsis of what's going on there.
So I'll get us back to the regular look at the radar here, but we are just along southern portions of Louisville and Jefferson County near Mount Washington and also over into Spencer County. Right now in Mount Washington, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the hail tracker on this, and there are some indications of some hailstones falling near the Mount Washington area. The radar indicates near 1 inch in size. I think it would likely come down a little bit off of that, but perhaps some nickels and penny sized hail very close to the Mount Washington area, and some of that extends off to the east towards Taylorsville. So while it may be a little bit below severe limits, 1 inch hail is considered severe, you're still going to be dealing with some hail under this severe thunderstorm warning, and also taking a look at some of the velocity images or the wind. And anytime you see little indications of the lighter shades of pink, that's where we could get the 55 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And we see some of that just off to the east of Bardstown Road, right along the Jefferson and Bullitt County line. So immediately east and northeast of Mount Washington, or off to the south and southeast of Fern Creek. And we also have some of those higher wind gusts again along the Spencer and Shelby County line between Elk Creek and Mount Eden. And you can see with that latest update, some of those higher wind gusts now creeping in towards the southern portions of Shelby County. So we'll watch all of this very closely for you with that severe thunderstorm warning. That continues until 8:45 for portions of Bullitt, Spencer, and on into Shelby County with this storm that's rumbling all around there. I don't see any rotation with it, Jay, so that's really good news in terms of not dealing with a tornado warning, but definitely some indications in those cells that we have some severe weather.
Yeah, that was my question. Any rotation? And so good to hear that we don't see any, organized rotation in that cell. But we'll continue to monitor it as it moves across our eastern communities. Hey, the rest of Jefferson County right now pretty much in the clear. So if you're watching from the metro, surrounding areas over towards Floyd's Knobs, New Albany, and then up into Clark County, even off towards the south to near E-Town. A little bit of light rain near E-Town right now. Bardstown right now looking in the clear. A little bit of light rain to your west, but the bigger storm is farther north and north of Bloomfield. Otherwise, as we get south of E-Town, well, we get back into storm activity. It's just widely scattered at this point in time. Northern portions of Hart County. Pretty strong storm that is trying to form, maybe a little bit of small hail. And then we get into that supercellular storm that's looking a little bit discombobulated. This thing's looking a little ragged now. Hopefully it's weakening some. Well, we'll see. That the rotation is still showing up quite nicely, unfortunately, on the radar scan, and it's right there near the Gasper area, immediately off towards the west of Bowling Green. That is pretty tight rotation showing up, so we'll watch that closely. And you can see it looks like another tornado warning has been issued, now to include Bowling Green. So again, friends, family, the kiddos down there who may be spending the summer at Western Kentucky, give them a quick text, a quick phone call, let them know what's going on, tell them tornado, a possible tornado is off to their west by about 10 to 20 miles, but it is rapidly pushing in their direction. Okay, so that is what's closest to the viewing area. Then we go out in western portions of Kentucky and we get into a lot more activity. And this is what I'm concerned about. This is the activity that's going to be moving in probably within the next 1 to 2 hours into the viewing area. And it's maintaining. I mean, these are strong supercells that are producing tornadoes right now.
Jay, a couple of those, one just south and west of Henderson near Morganfield. This has been a storm that was kind of one of the last of the three kind of major supercells that we've kept eyes on, the one into central and southern Indiana, and then this is the middle one, and then that one down in Bowling Green. There's even a fourth that's developing off to the south and west as well. But these have been some long-lived, long-track, at least supercell thunderstorms that have occasionally put down tornadoes on the ground with reports from spotters of these confirmed tornadoes from time to time with these cells that have tended been cycling several times. But you can see it looks like that Morganfield storm, Jay, definitely looking very intense. I'm going to zoom in right there. You can easily see that hook echo with the larger hail, perhaps in excess of 2 inches in diameter. Up in the hail core of that. So definitely some very intense severe thunderstorm activity with this particular cell.
Is that on the ground? It looks like it's on the ground.
Yes.
Near Morganfield?
They are, the Weather Service, I'm going to read it real quick. Let's see. Yeah, they're confirming, they're using the wording large and extremely dangerous tornado near Morganfield moving east at 40 miles per hour.
That's a cell that we really have to watch closely because that will move into our western communities. That will likely impact first Owensboro perhaps, and then after that, yeah, you go get across Hancock County and then Breckinridge County. So it's a ways off, but it's moving quickly. So just a heads up if you're in our southwestern communities.
Yeah, and Jay, and of more immediate concern, perhaps a little bit closer to home, we're watching for that storm that you and Matt were tracking, moving across areas of Spencer County and also throughout areas of Shelby County. It does look like the winds have started to strengthen a bit in that particular storm. So we're now seeing winds of about 64 miles per hour. We can switch over to our Lynx One product for Jay over in the Key Wall and show you some of those stronger winds that we're now starting to see. For a while, it looked like that storm was weakening. We were seeing winds of about 47 miles per hour. And just in the last few moments, we have started to see an increase in the strength of some of these winds here across areas of Spencer County and into portions of Shelby County. So we don't want to let down our guard just because it's a severe thunderstorm warning versus a tornado warning. They can still certainly pack a punch. So it also looks like we're seeing perhaps a little bit of notching trying to happen a little bit to the north of Taylorsville. So that's something that maybe we'll keep an eye on as well.
You see anything in that? You see any inflow? You see any subtle rotation going on? Doesn't look like much.
Not much, okay. But I think it bears watching just with its most recent strengthening. I do think that's a concern for us. Also now starting to see a little bit of hail in that particular storm as well, which we were not earlier. So as we take a look at the shear profile here, it's broad, nothing that's really causing too much of an alarm. But I do just want to caution you that we've started to see those winds begin to strengthen a little bit across areas of Shelby County and back across portions of Spencer County as well. So we'll be watching it closely for you as that continues to move through. But we don't want to let down our guard just because it's a severe thunderstorm warning versus a tornado warning.
Yeah, the structure on that storm is looking a little nastier right now, especially this portion of the storm of Spencer County on into southern Shelby County. So we'll watch it close. Definitely some gusty winds and some hail. Hail core, we're starting to redevelop on this thing, and the hail core that shows up on the Doppler radar usually corresponds to at least nickel-sized, if not a little bit larger. We're going to track that portion of the storm as it moves quickly off to the east-northeast. Movement, guys, about 45?
45 to 55.
45 to 55. Little Mount, 832. Southville, 838. Harrisonville, 844. Mount Eden, 839. We'll go down to Waddy, Peytonia, Bridgeport, and Evergreen, anywhere from 845 to about 855 and almost 9 o'clock. The Bryant area. So a very powerful storm that is intensifying, certainly has some wind energy, some straight line wind potential, especially in Shelby County right now, and perhaps some redevelopment that's happening in the Elk Creek area. And there's that little hail core, as I talked about, in Elk Creek. So we'll watch it close, at least corresponding to nickel-sized hail right there as everything races off towards the northeast. Starting to get a little bit of subtle and broad rotation, nothing that screams tornado or anything like that, but these storms can quickly intensify and continue to fire up, especially in the environment we have on this Friday evening. The metro in the clear for now. Nothing going on close to the metro, everything east-southeast. The metro is actually, to this point, enjoying a pretty nice Friday evening. But you can see these storms are all around us. They're scattered north, they're scattered southeast, southwest, and a lot of these are producing severe weather, tornadoes on the ground, large hail, damaging winds. It's just the supercellular structure of the atmosphere tonight that has caused these storms to be scattered. Not linear in fashion, but scattered. And that's why we don't think everybody's going to get severe weather on this Friday night. But where these storms cross any one location and pass across any one location, there's a high likelihood you're going to see some pretty intense weather. Okay, a nasty cell that was coming out of western portions of Kentucky, and that was producing the tornado warning. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, it looks like we're having a little bit. We were just trying to pick up a few live shot cameras to show you what was going on around the region. So, you know, love some technology there.
Yeah.
You can see we were talking about in the metro and seeing some of those storms off into the distance, and certainly an ominous looking sky there from one of our tower cam perspectives here this evening. So certainly, you know, a warm, muggy day, sparking some of that thunderstorm activity, and it does look like as we make our way throughout the rest of the night, we're in for kind of a bumpy night. We are watching, of course, that severe thunderstorm warning still at this time for areas of Spencer County back through Shelby County and pushing into portions of Franklin County as well. So we can switch over to that Lynx One product and show you that storm that we're continuing to monitor as it tracks off and moves off to the north and to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. So picking up some pretty strong winds. I suspect as these storms are going to continue to move over densely populated areas, we should be able to get some good storm reports as well. And I don't know, Eric or Mo, do you want to touch on some of those storm reports that we've received?
I got a couple of dime-size hail reports in Bullitt County from likely that storm that where it started, where they warned the storm, and I assume they're going to be trimming back that warning as well to just let Bullitt County go, and because this is moving pretty quickly. But at this point, wind gusts out of Hardin County, Maisonette at 50 miles per hour. Dime-size hail reported in Bullitt County. Not getting any storm damage reports just yet, but as you mentioned, these storms are going to be rocking and rolling all night and heading towards much more populated areas. So as soon as we do start getting those reports, then we'll be able to share them with you. But do not let your guard down. I know Suzanne said it a couple of times.
Oh, sorry, Suzanne, but the Weather Service hinted at it was probably the light showers that moved through Elizabethtown that actually mixed down some of the low-level jet wind energy with this. So it kind of just shows you, even though there was no severe weather at all in Elizabethtown, just those light showers.
Green area, of course, a very populated area of south central portions of Kentucky. And then farther off to the west, we have the bigger storms getting close to Owensboro. That's a cell that we really have to watch closely.
Yeah, we're not done yet, and that's part of the issue. And what's sort of interesting is even when the atmosphere appears to be worked over a little bit, for instance, across some sections of southern Indiana, just a little bit north of the viewing area, we're still getting additional warnings that have been issued just north of Bloomington. They now have more severe thunderstorm warnings. They had a tornado warning. And unfortunately, so it looks like we're just really able to deal with some of the environmental conditions that are going to persist throughout our evening hours, bringing us the threat of these very powerful storms. So it has certainly been a bumpy night already, and we're expecting to see more of that thunderstorm activity overspread the region as well.
It looks to me, Matt, and you can talk about this with me here, it looks to me that this cluster of storms, Suzanne, if you would, let's pull out just a little bit, get a broader perspective. This is the show. This will be the show for the metro. If it intensifies, this is going to move across the metro and give us some severe weather. If it does not intensify or stays just off to the south, we might get through this thing unscathed right here in town, because the cold front looks like it's getting closer and closer now to the Wabash, the back edge. Notice out here in Illinois, there's not much happening. We're starting to stabilize things, so it's very possible that these storms could continue to move off to the east-southeast, really fill in, but that could happen to the south of the metro. So it's possible the metro may not get much out of this tonight.
Yeah, Jay, I think you're right. That is absolutely the show. You mentioned this in our early evening broadcast back at 5 and at 6, that the cellular nature of these storms, the data was showing that we were going to have less in the way of a line sweeping through, but more in the way of these individual and discrete cells, and those are the ones that have caused the biggest concerns. I was looking on the Paducah Weather Service site, and they were talking about, I mean, I'm seeing pictures coming in out of near Marion, Illinois, of some big time damage there. Eric had mentioned that earlier. Even reports of in the location, I should say, I'm not quite sure, but they said a paramedic on the scene at Highway 130 near Robinson Road. I'm not sure where that necessarily is, but I do think it's associated with that Marion, Illinois Morganfield storm. So there may be injuries there. So I'm just continuing to look. There's also a couple of photos near Morganfield. I mean, it was an absolute tornado on the ground with that storm. So have to obviously keep eyes on that. There even looks like there might be a cell behind it too that is at the very least severe. So that is perhaps our biggest threat for severe weather with this. Getting ready to move into the Owensboro area. They're under the threat for some large hail here in very short order. And on the southern edge of that storm is where the tornado threat would continue to be. Eric, we're going to send it over to you. What's going on?
And like you're mentioning, the Paducah has actually canceled the tornado watches west of that cell. So they're thinking once this moves through, this is going to be the end of it. So they've already gone ahead and allowed those counties to the west of this to get lifted from that tornado watch for the rest of this evening.
Yeah, I really think, guys, once we get through this area right here, once this moves to the east of the metro or south of the metro, I think the metro's in the clear. So, we still have another 1 to 2 hours to get through. Nothing developing, or the storms that are currently west of us not intensifying, things like that. A lot of ifs, but knock on wood, hopefully that'll happen. Now, having said that, some of these storms are maturing right now. They are strong, they are severe, and they are still producing hail, high winds, and occasional tornadoes. A couple of tornado warnings that remain. They're outside the viewing area, but they remain. The one that's west of Owensboro, closer to Morganfield, and the one down in the Bowling Green area. Thank goodness that's not on the ground, but that storm is rotating quite violently and certainly producing some hail and some strong straight line wind. But there's a well-defined hook echo and still that what we call low-level rotational lock on the southwestern flank of this storm. That is, the rotation is reaching up through the depth of the storm, right down to the ground, at least on the radar, and that's why that tornado warning remains in effect. This is just now getting east of Bowling Green. We'll make some calls, see what's going on in the Bowling Green area, but overall, things are pretty much on the quiet side, okay? We will continue to monitor things throughout the course of the evening. What we're going to do, we're going to get you back to regular programming. Here it is, 8:52 on this Friday evening. So far, nothing all that threatening in the viewing area. We have big storms off to the west, off to the north, and off to the south, but in the viewing area itself, things are pretty quiet. Knock on wood, we're hoping that trend will continue If that changes, we will be on with you, no question about it. And don't forget, you can get additional coverage on WLKY.com. We'll be breaking in there and also breaking in on air as well if the situation warrants. In the interim, let's get you back to programming. Hi, folks. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardoso here at WLKY. Listen, we'll get you back to programming as quickly as we can, but we have to inform you we have a tornado warning that has been issued for portions of the viewing area. This is south of the metro area. This is southern portions of Adair County. This is Greene County, Taylor County. This is Adair County. Here's the Cumberland Parkway, and you can see that warning extends into far southern portions of Adair County. This goes for the next several minutes for a storm that's still back here in Barron County. So it is rotating. This has had a history of producing tornadoes, large hail, ever since it was way back in Missouri. This is a long-lived supercell. We still have a rotational lock on it, which indicates the rotation goes from the surface all the way up through the depth of the storm, and that is why the tornado warning has been issued. So the storm is moving quickly off to the east at speeds of around 45 to 50 miles per hour, and it will continue to do so, eventually pushing on into the southern portions of our viewing area in relatively short order. Meteorologist Suzanne Horgan running the radar for us, putting on a storm track at that speed and also direction. It's going to be impacting places like Gradyville and Sparksville anywhere from 9:53 to 9:54, just before the 10 o'clock hour. And you can see additional communities in the path of that rotating cell. Again, this is a radar indicated potential tornado. So far, we don't have any confirmations of this thing touching down, but with the atmosphere we have tonight, it could happen at a moment's notice. So better to be safe than sorry. We need you in your place of safety. If you're in southern Adair County for the next several minutes, you are underneath a tornado warning. Of course, basement, best spot to be. If you don't have a basement, lowest level of your house, put as many walls between you and the outside to help slow down and stop any and all debris that could be flying around. Farther north of the tornado warned zone, we have severe thunderstorm warnings that do encompass portions of Greene County, as well as Hart County, southern Taylor, and the rest of Adair County. So the storm coming out of places like Hart County is fairly strong. We're talking winds upwards of 50 to possibly 60 miles per hour. In addition to that, maybe some small hail as well. Nothing around the metro right now, a little bit of light rain, but we are watching some storms getting closer and closer. You can see some light rain kind of scattered about Jefferson County up through Floyd County, Harrison County. We get into some thunderstorms here in southern Indiana, closer to I-64, and then you go south of 64 from the Ohio River and point south. This is Hardinsburg of Breckinridge County. This is Grayson County. You can see a pretty good storm coming out of the Owensboro area where a tornado warning was in effect, and we have another tornado warning west of us, but we're watching it closely. This is northern portions of Ohio County and southern Hancock County. So this is Breckinridge County and Hardinsburg. You folks underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, wind, and maybe some hail over the next few minutes. Nothing around the metros you can see, but again, farther off to the south, we have to watch. We have to be very, very weather aware of what's going on in southern portions of Adair County for that possible tornado, and also some rather large hail that could be coming out of that storm. A brunt of this storm is now moving into the Metcalfe County area, and this will continue to push off towards the east, towards Adair County, and perhaps the Columbia area, getting into that hail core as well. As far as rotation, Matt, what are you seeing?
On that storm, Jay, I'm looking out of the Nashville, Tennessee weather radar here on Storm Analyzer, and I'm not seeing a ton with it. The rotation that as it moved across the Glasgow area was definitely stronger. The last scan or two of the radar has been a little less. So that would be some good news as we look at the reflectivity. We still have that pendant, that little bit of a hook on this particular storm, so we'll still eye it closely as it moves out and away from Glasgow and into Edmonton and Edmonson County there. And so that is where, in the part of the storm that we watch for, especially as it goes closer to southern Adair County in the coming minutes. Now, on the severe part of this storm, farther to the north, we did get reports of a 50-mile-per-hour wind gust near Hart County off of the Kentucky Mesonet site. So there are some stronger winds on the northern, not tornado-warned part of this storm. But in terms of rotation, Jay, keeping close eyes on it, but nothing that is imminently threatening, I think, along the county line there from Glasgow to Edmonson County there.
Okay, Mo, any reports coming in?
Reports, well, we did have a couple of reports from the storms that came in earlier. We had in Pekin, Indiana, trees down with power lines. It was on Main Street and Tash Street. And then also trees were down in Bexmill and Salem. But just kind of adding to what Matt had said, it's just that northern part of that storm, just above the actual tornado-warned storm. And you can pull that up on Lynx 3, and you can just see that hail core. And, you know, what I'm seeing, like, that's pretty dangerous. If this holds together, this is going to be headed towards Adair County, Greene, Taylor County. So just kind of looking at that storm and its motions, I want to just pull up the wind and hail tracker, and there's some pretty large hailstones with this at the core that's just north of the warned area. And if it continues to move in that eastward fashion, it is going to be in the path of folks in our viewing area. So just be ready for hail. If you are not, if you have a carport, if you have a garage and you don't have your car underneath it, maybe move that outside of the tornado warned area. If you are in the tornado warned area, stay put, stay in your safe place.
Okay, Mo, thanks so very much. All right, now let's go back to Lynx 1, the Doppler radar. There you go. We got a wide view of the viewing area. Watching from the metro, rain, a little bit of lightning and thunder ongoing west and south. It appears the greatest threat for severe weather is going to bypass the metro. Got really lucky on this one because the atmosphere was primed throughout the day and into the evening, but it looks like it may go just off to the south. We still have about another hour and a half to get through until we're for sure on that, but it looks to be heading in that direction. Having said that, we have severe thunderstorm warnings here in sections of Breckinridge County and also southern Perry County. Pretty good wind field coming out of the Owensboro area. Also a little bit of hail, likely some nickel-sized hail back off to the west there. And this is all moving towards our viewing area. Breckinridge County, perhaps Meade County, of course, southern Perry County. There is a tornado warning for Ohio County, northern Ohio County, just west of our region. That storm, again, very powerful about an hour ago, but has since weakened. Hopefully it will continue to weaken. We can drop that tornado warning altogether, but that remains to be seen. We'll continue to watch it very, very closely. And then here we are down in our southern communities where we have some severe weather ongoing. Severe thunderstorm warnings for you folks around Greensburg, surrounding communities, also getting fairly close to Campbellsville. And then we have the tornado warning here in southern portions, southwestern portions of Adair County. What's going on? It's back here in Metcalfe County where the actual rotation is still located close to New Liberty. This is moving quickly off to the east, and on the northern flank, that's where we have some large hail, likely hail that could be upwards of golf ball sized, and this is all cranking off towards the east. So the hail threat definitely pushing eastbound towards Columbia. The tornado threat will likely stay south of Columbia in southern Adair County, and you can see the brighter shades of green indicating some decent rotation out there. Maybe not tight enough to produce a tornado at this point, but again, with that atmosphere we have in place, it won't take much to spin something up very, very quickly. There's an estimated hail size of 1.5 inches. That's about golf ball size as it is moving off to the east at speeds of around 40 to 50 miles per hour. Heavy rainfall on the northern flank, the hail, and then that possible possible tornado. And keep in mind, this tornado warning is exactly that, is radar indicated. We don't have any confirmed touchdowns. Now that we're into the dark hours, getting kind of hard to see out there, but we're making our calls to our weather spotters, law enforcement officials, find out exactly what's going on as far as the ground truth is concerned, so we can pass it on to you so you know what to expect as this storm moves in your direction. All right, southern Adair County, tornado warning for the next several minutes. Be in that place of safety, be in that basement if you have it. If you don't, lowest level of your house, interior room, put as many walls between you and the outside. Matt, you see anything on the rotation there?
You know, just tracking it, because the last couple of scans of the radars you were mentioning do look a little stronger in that rotation there, just off to the west of the Edmonton area there in the southern Metcalfe County. If we track that on off towards the east, this does look like it stays to the south of the Cumberland Parkway through Adair County. So far southern Adair County, which is primarily rural, we'll be dealing with this storm. And then on the northern edge of it into the hail core here, we are getting some indications, Jay, of upwards of perhaps 2-inch hail with this. So that is going to be just north of the Edmonton area. So that's the part of the storm that if you live closer to the Cumberland Parkway, Gradyville up toward Columbia, Kentucky, you should be more concerned in that respect for the potential of hail heading in your direction. Also the potential for some higher, stronger wind gusts too. You saw just the latest update on the radar, and we continue to see that very strong hail core. Remember, so far this evening, we've been looking at storms that go 40 to 50,000 feet in height, so that produces the larger hailstones across the area in those storms. So we keep close eyes on that for you. I'm going to go back to the reflectivity, because we look at that hook echo, that kind of pendant that kind of hangs down from the main storm here. That's where we see the rotation. That's very close to Edmonton, Kentucky right now, headed towards there, the county seat of Metcalfe County, with lots of thunder, lightning, as well as that rotation that we are watching closely. This again is a radar indicated storm. We do not have spotters that have shown any tornado on the ground. Also looking at the correlation coefficient. We'll keep close eyes on this, but this is where we look for the tornado debris signatures. And at least in the last couple of scans, I don't see anything. A couple of locations to watch, but nothing immediately alarming. So we'll keep close eyes on it. It's removed a little bit. Any indications on that correlation coefficient are removed away from that hook echo just a little bit. So we need those two to sync up to have more of a radar confirmation of any tornado going on there. So again, in far southern Adair County, south of the Cumberland Parkway, that's where we stay alert for the potential of a tornado with this particular cell. Remember, this is the same cell that went past Bowling Green about an hour ago, has been cruising through western Kentucky, southeastern Missouri, going all the way back to the 5 o'clock hour earlier this evening. So this supercell thunderstorm has been holding together and often producing tornadoes or tornado warnings for the better part of 4, almost 5 hours across portions of the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley. And so that continues as it pushes on off towards the east. And again, further to the north, Gradyville, Columbia, all through up towards the Greene County line. This is where we're going to watch that hail core right there in purple as that moves on off to the east, potentially up to golf ball sized hail with those. Jay?
Okay, Matt, thanks so very much. Great analysis there. This is a very nasty-looking thunderstorm, a supercellular storm that's still down in Metcalfe County, getting ready to push into our southern communities of Adair County. So we got to be on our guard for that storm. And large hail, boy, that hail is mean-looking right now, getting ready to push into Adair County. And this is heading towards you folks in Columbia, the county seat. So if you're watching from Columbia surrounding regions, a real threat for some large hail heading in your direction with this supercellular thunderstorm. All right, let's pull back out. Let's go over to Lynx 1, if we could, please. Suzanne, if you would, let's go back out to the viewing area.
We did just get a report out of Campbellsville of a wind gust of 60 miles per hour.
Okay.
So I think that's important to note. And we also had, well, Matt was talking about the tornado warning down across areas of Adair County. We did get a number of other severe thunderstorm warnings that we want you to be aware of across areas of Grayson County, back over into Harrison County as well. So just if you want to update everyone on some of those warnings too, Jay.
Okay, so let's go ahead. If you're just joining us, here's what's going on. We have severe thunderstorms ongoing west and south of the metro. Flashing on your screen are the warnings. In orange, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, which imply hail that could be a quarter size or larger, 1 inch in diameter or larger, and winds that could be 60 miles an hour or higher. And you can see severe thunderstorm warnings for southern portions of Harrison County into Meade County, Breckenridge County, now extending into sections of Hardin County, just west of E-Town, down into Grayson County for the storms that are coming out of western Kentucky. The leading edge, some of the higher momentum wind that's upwards of about 5,000 feet is starting to mix down towards the ground, hence that 60-mile-an-hour gust that happened in Campbellsville. That's what we're starting to pick up around portions of the viewing area. Some gusty winds, some heavy rainfall, and maybe a little bit hail with the heavier cores. Then we go farther south, and this cluster right here, a potential tornado on it, especially coming out of Metcalfe County and working towards southern Adair County. Severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. That tornado warning is basically southwestern Adair County. There's the actual rotation back near Edmonton. Mean looking storm. We've been holding on to this low-level lock with this rotating thunderstorm for quite some time, an indication that the rotation is pretty tight. And now that it's night, we really can't see what's going on as far as actual ground truth, so we have to rely on the radars, and we've got the rotation showing up. Suzanne, if you would, let's take the warning off, if you would, for me, and let's go to our CC, our correlation coefficient, and see what we have. You know, we changed that color over to a little bit of green. I wouldn't say we've got debris flying around. This is likely some hail that is mixed in, but we'll watch it close because it is co-located with that rotation. So we'll watch it very close as it comes out of Metcalfe County and cruises into southwestern portions of Adair. It looks like the strongest rotation, which is right on top of Edmonton right now, a fairly populous center, will continue to cruise its way eastbound and pass basically south of Columbia. But the hail core will not. I think the hail core will come very close to the county seat of Adair County, Columbia, and that is some rather large hail, mean-looking hail, hail that could cause some damage, just something to keep in mind. Hail that could be the size of golf balls, as Matt alluded to earlier anyway, maybe 2-inch hail. So some large hail, gusty winds, and a potential tornado with this thunderstorm. There's the well-defined, what we call hook echo in the Gascon area and also the Edmonton area. And as far as the rotation detector is determined, where you see the little bouts of red, that's where we're getting some sudden turning and changing, some dangerous twisting of the winds, so to speak. And it's right in that hook echo area. So a storm that bears watching, no question about it. A tornado warning that's in effect for this region for the next several minutes until 10:15 Eastern Daylight Time. The storm quickly racing off to the east at speeds of around 50, 55 miles an hour. So we're talking the rotating part of the cell could impact places like Gradyville, as will the hail core, but Gradyville around 9:59, Sparksville right around 10 o'clock, Glens Fork 10:09, and the Cundiff area right around 10:10 or so. We go a little farther north. Mo, do you have something?
Yeah, we've got a few more severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued, and we've got one that is west of the metro, and this is going to be moving. It's moving very quickly through parts of Breckenridge into Meade County. It's going to be pushing into southern Harrison County and eventually just knocking on the door of the western edge of the metro here, the way how quickly it's moving eastward, about 60 miles per hour. The winds in this, also, if we can pull up links 3, I think, yeah, we've got that up on the screen. Just take a look at some of the wind field in this. I think that we do have some pretty high wind gusts with it. just querying some of these just south of Brandenburg and zooming in. So it, well, that one I think is a little erroneous there. But this warning popped up and then right below it. And we're also watching that storm, that tornado warned storm that's just outside of the viewing area right now as well. And this whole line of storms is just going to continue to race eastward. But I do think that this one up top is going to be impacting the metro here within the hour if it continues on its path.
Gotcha. Okay,
and it's got some hail with it, too. It is picking up on the hail, half an inch or so, but still.
Okay.
Something to watch.
Okay, Mo, thanks so very much. Matt, if you would, on the analyzer, and I'll come back to you when you're done, but if you would, check out that storm in Hancock County for me, what the rotation is doing, and what you think it's, as far as intensification, whether or not it's going to continue to do so. In the interim, Suzanne, let's go up to the metro, show folks what's going on. Links 1, please.
Yeah, Links 1. We've got actually a storm track. You know, Mo was talking about that. So with this movement of these storms about 65 miles per hour, we definitely want everyone to know the storms are going to be heading into areas of Harrison County, also back across portions of Meade County into the West Point area at about 9:56, Shepherdsville at about 10:08, Belmont at about 10:09, near Pioneer Village, if this holds together into Bullitt County at about 10:11, into the Mount Washington area at about 10:17. And as Mo was pointing out, obviously some very strong winds with this line that's going to be heading into the metro. In the metro proper right now, Jay, right now we're looking at mainly just some heavy rainfall and perhaps some lightning strikes here, but no warnings in the Louisville metro. I know obviously a densely populated area, but we're going to be watching for perhaps if that holds together the northern flank of that storm to impact the southern part of the metro. So that's something that bears very close watching.
Okay, Suzanne, thanks so very much. And yeah, it looks like the primary threat going forward is going to be south of I-64 from now until about, let's call it midnight. And I think once we get beyond 11:30 midnight tonight, everything should be pushing off to the southeast and we'll be quieting and down just about everywhere. But until that time, we have to worry about this line segment that does have some strong gusty winds associated with it, a lot of heavy rainfall, lightning and thunder, and from time to time, a little bit of rotation. Matt, your thoughts on northern portions of Ohio and southern Hancock?
Jay, that's looking a lot more elongated in the rotation. There is still, I can make an argument for some rotation there, but I believe you can see kind of the Weather Service kind of showing their hand there with the extension of a severe thunderstorm warning farther on off towards the east there into Breckenridge and Grayson County as opposed to the tornado warning. So I think we got to continue to watch that closely, but just know that it's a more stretched out with some occasional rotation still indicated on the radar. I also want to bring your attention to what's going on closer to the Louisville area and immediately to the north. We've had some flashes of lightning and some showers out there, but it is also bringing down some of the stronger wind gusts once again, Jay, from what's called the low-level jet. The winds just above us a couple of thousand feet are humming, and so we are getting reports of 55 to 60 mile per hour gusts near Henryville over towards Borden, Indiana. I can also see on our WLKY tower camera that we have downtown has been shaking back and forth quite a bit in some of the showers that are going on right now. So just keep that in mind. There's no severe thunderstorm warning currently in and around the immediate metro. It's with that line that's bigger off to the south and west. But like what we saw a little earlier in the evening down towards Hardin County, we picked up a 51 mile per hour wind gust in Elizabethtown with just some light showers. And that's kind of what we're starting to see too through portions of Clark, Floyd, and perhaps even the metro too, with some of these showers and thunderstorms moving through.
Guys, it looks like a tornado warning was just issued for the southern one half of Breckenridge County on into western portions of Hardin County, okay? So this would include McQuady. This would include areas of Kingswood. This would include northern portions of Grayson County as well. So we have some rotation that's showing up on the radar scan, and we have a pretty strong storm that's coming out of Ohio County, Hancock County, and it is racing off towards the east at speeds of around 40 to 50 miles per hour. You can see there's the tornado warning, the polygon. It's west of E-Town. It's south of Hardinsburg. It's southern Breckinridge County. It is northern portions of Grayson County, okay? It is western sections of Hardin County, immediately west of the E-Town area. We need you in your basement if you are in this tornado-warned zone. If you're in these communities, please seek shelter. Suzanne, let's give me a velocity scan, see what's going on here. Let me get my bearings here. Yeah, no question, we've got some subtle rotation right in this general area. We have strong winds that are blowing. There you go. And we have winds that are blowing towards the top right-hand portion of your TV set here, going in the opposite direction near Dempster and Askin. So some subtle rotation right there. And again, with the environmental winds we have tonight, it won't take much to spin something up. So that's why the tornado warning has been issued. It's back near the Dempster area right now, racing off in an easterly direction at speeds of around 50 miles per hour. So if we track that, if we go right from this area here, Suzanne, and give me a track this way if you would. Racing eastbound. So if I call out your community here, please get to your place of safety and stay there until the danger has passed. We're talking McDaniels right around now. McCoy, 957, Hardin Springs, 1005, Summit, Stevensburg, and the Harcourt area, anywhere from 10:15 to about 10:20. So if you live in those communities or around those communities, just know you have some pretty dangerous weather pushing in your direction, which could include wind damage and maybe a quick tornado spin up as well. This was very quickly developed across the region, guys.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, we were watching all of those storms farther back out to the west, and you and Matt were discussing the fact that they needed to be analyzed a little bit as those were going to continue to march off to the east. And, in fact, a tornado warning having been issued now for areas of Hardin County, back across portions of Breckinridge County. Nothing screaming out with tight rotation, but certainly, as you guys were mentioning, you're seeing some of that hail showing up. And, obviously, we're going to be watching for some strong winds and some twisting and turning when we take a look at some of the shear there. I do want to point out, it looks like we may have another severe thunderstorm warning that has just recently been issued for areas of Clark County as well as into Oldham County. So I think we're a little bit ahead of the game on that warning. It hasn't quite shown up here, but again, that's for areas of the Louisville Metro as well.
Yeah, and that's for those environmental winds that are starting to mix down. So we have the storms that are coming out of western Kentucky, southwestern Indiana, starting to mix down some of those stronger winds up about 5,000 feet. And now we're getting reports of 50, 55, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. You can expect that now in the metro in relatively short order, if it's not already happening, as this line of heavy rain, showers, and storms works off towards the east. And then farther off to the south, we're talking about the potential for a quick tornado spin-up, most notably in southern Breckinridge County, northern Grayson County, and western Hardin County, west of the E-Town area. We also have that tornado warning that continues in southern portions of Adair County for the next several minutes, basically south of the Columbia area. So, okay, Suzanne, let's pull out the entire viewing area, all right? Here's the metro, and here's this line segment that has really come together over the past 30 to 60 minutes. And it's along this line segment and just ahead of it where we're getting the reports of now 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds starting to mix down. So if you are in the heavy rain or east of it, pretty good bet you're going to get some strong gusty winds. Now, inside some of these storms, we're getting subtle rotation that's being picked up on the radar scan. And that's why we're getting a couple of tornado warnings that have also been issued, like close to McQuady, Glendine. There's a little bit of subtle rotation that's going on, and it's moving quickly off towards the east. You can see the rotation detector. See that brighter shade of green right through sections of Breckinridge County here, and then northwestern Grayson County right there near Rough River. That's where we're getting a lot of twisting of the wind going on, sudden directional change, and that can sometimes spin up a quick tornado, especially with the environmental winds that we have on this Friday evening.
Jay, just got a 52-mile-per-hour wind gust in around the Brandenburg area with that line. That's moving east at 75 miles per hour. So we may start to get some very much enhanced winds within that line, especially through southern portions of Hardin County, or rather southern Harrison County, Indiana, south of you in Corydon, across the bridge into Brandenburg and southern Meade County as well. Also looking a little farther on off towards the south for that tornado warned area of the southern Breckinridge County along the Grayson County line and over into western portions of Hardin County as well. But boy, that line just off to the west of the metro, just movement at 75 miles per hour, that momentum can create a big time wind gust getting ready to come through. So I'll have eyes Fort Knox. That observation will be up next. So we'll see how high the winds get there. But yeah, most recently 52 mile per hour wind gusts close to the Brandenburg area.
What about the airport in downtown Louisville, the SDF? Anything yet, guys? Okay. Okay, the reason I wanted to find out, where is that wind field? Is it right on the leading edge of the heavy rain? That's what we're tracking. That's what Suzanne is tracking. Or is it a little bit out ahead of it? Suzanne, you were saying it's moving east. You guys said it's 75 miles an hour.
It does look to BJ that wind, that strongest of that wind field is right on that leading edge.
Okay. All right, so we're tracking that leading edge, as you can see, running from almost the Ohio River, getting close to Shively, PRP Valley Station, down to West Point, Muldrow, and then farther off to the south, okay? The leading edge is racing east at 75 miles an hour, so that means the wind field is as well. High winds, 50 to 60 miles an hour or higher, could occur in these areas. Valley Station, right about now. Vine Grove, the same. Radcliffe, 10:03. Pioneer Village, Okolona, about 10 minutes after 10. Down towards Newburgh, Belmont, Highview, as well as Claremont, getting close to quarter after the hour. And you go beyond that, and boy, I'll take it on into places like Spencer County and even Nelson County here over the next 30 minutes or so. And that line is coming together quite nicely, as you can see. The farther south you go, it is really filled in. And really anywhere along that line where we have severe thunderstorm warnings, you can have that wind gust up to 60, maybe 70 miles an hour. Little twisting and turning has prompted a tornado warning to be issued here in southern portions of Breckinridge County. This is now east of McQuady. This is south of Hardinsburg, but it is running across southern portions of Breckinridge County, heading towards western Hardin County, far north and northeastern Grayson County, near Big Clifty, for example, and in Howe Valley as well. Rotation, boy, that just looks like kind of a wind shear zone to me.
Nothing really tight showing up here, and I think probably what we're going to be looking at, with this being such a large area, I'm going to take the warnings off just so you can see this a little bit more clearly. This is a line that has kind of congealed, and I know, Jay, you and Matt were talking about that earlier, it all kind of coming together, congealing together, and with those environmental winds, the rain just pulling down some of those stronger winds as that line of storms races at 75 miles per hour. So this is your heads up in the metro. It is not a tornado warning. It is a severe thunderstorm warning, but you get winds of 60, 70 miles per hour, and that can certainly cause some damage. So we want you to stay weather aware in the metro with that severe thunderstorm warning as that kind of bears down on the southern portion of the metro at this point.
5 hourly data, guys, at SDF or Bowman Airfield. What are our winds doing now across the metro?
I was looking real quick. I had it on my phone here. Right now, it's calm.
Yeah, we have 37 mile per hour wind gusts in this late 7 o'clock hour. That was the highest that popped up. But as this line moves through, I suspect we're going to start seeing those numbers climb.
Okay, so that high wind field appears to be moving towards western and southwestern Jefferson County on into the northern Hardin County area, and then arcing back into southeastern Breckinridge, northern Grayson. It's along that higher reflectivity zone, the heavier rain, in other words. The heavier rain is mixing down the stronger winds aloft, 60, 65 mile per hour winds, maybe a 70 mile an hour wind gust. And tracking that thing for you is we're moving it across southern portions of the metro. Valley Station now, the Flaherty area, 5 minutes after 10. Radcliffe, Okolona, about 10 minutes after the hour. You get towards Newburgh, Shepherdsville, Hillview, we're anywhere from 10:10 to 10:15. And then we get on into southeastern Jefferson County, Fern Creek around 10:15, the Claremont area 10:16. So just looking at the tower cam, looks like we've got some pretty strong winds here in downtown Louisville as well. So it is getting here. Yeah, Susan.
Right there is 264 right at Cane Run Road. And you can see, obviously, a ton of lightning out there. But that camera is rocking and rolling. That rain, obviously, coming down in sheets. You can see that here. Again, that's 264 Cane Run Road, maybe a little bit closer over to Dixie Highway. As that storm is bearing down on the metro right now, that is heading right into our area. And this gives you some ground truth of exactly what's happening with those lightning flashes out here. So that's what we're seeing actually out there on 264, right near areas of Cane Run Road. And you can see that then on the radar as well with those powerful winds that are continuing to move through the metro. Again, that's the southern section of the metro that is going to be impacted with those very powerful winds. We continue to have that tornado warning for areas of Breckinridge County, also into portions of Hardin County. And I believe Matt has more.
Yeah, Suzanne, checking out Storm Analyzer radar. I want to go briefly back to Adair County. This was what originally, this was the tornado warning that put us back on air for coverage of these storms. And of course, those warnings have expanded since then. But this is still a storm that has picked up its rotation. This is south of the Cumberland Parkway, so far southern Adair County, where the tornado warning is still in effect for about the next 11 minutes. But that hook echo has had some stronger rotation, and the hail core above it moving right into downtown Columbia right now. Those hailstones could be perhaps quarter to maybe as much as golf ball sized in nature. So definitely a supercell thunderstorm that has been on the ground, and we've been tracking for the last 5 hours once it came out of southeastern Missouri, continuing to march through our southernmost county into Adair. And then again, we're watching up to the north. But boy, if you're in Columbia right now, you're feeling that hail. And again, there's a stronger likelihood of rotation and the possibility of a tornado there. Still radar indicated, Jay, but something we continue to watch closely.
Okay, Matt, thank you so very much. Great job there. Let's go a little bit farther off to the northwest. Suzanne, take me to that tornado warning, too, here in Breckinridge County. Let's hit the 2 tornado warnings. Matt just hit the Adair County storm. Let's hit the Breckinridge County and northern Grayson County storm. And you can see it's kind of embedded in this wind field. Now, this whole wind field is no doubt quite strong, producing straight line winds on the order of 60 to maybe even 70 miles an hour. As far as the actual rotation goes, from time to time, we get subtle rotation. Quick-hitting rotational couplets, if you will. That could be quick-hitting tornadoes along this line that's moving quickly off towards the east. So enough rotation that the NWS, National Weather Service, has said, yeah, let's go ahead just to make sure and issue a tornado warning. So if you're in southern Breckinridge County, western Hardin County, in that red polygon, get to your basement right now. Other locations, here's the other tornado warning Matt just talked about, and that has been extended farther off to the east. Again, southern Adair County, and that'll take us a little bit farther off to the east. Catches actually far southern Casey County, but this will be out of our viewing area altogether. Now, as we move farther north, a very large severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for the metro area. This encompasses portions of Harrison County, Floyd County, all of Jefferson County, Bullitt County, and then extends into Spencer County, western Shelby County. Why? We have this wind field that's racing out ahead of these storms. It's on the leading edge of the real heavy rainfall, but it does bear watching. We're getting reports of winds anywhere from 60 to 70 miles an hour, at least in scattered pockets. Will you get that much of a wind at your house? It's possible, but that's probably the upper end. But nonetheless, this wind field is sweeping off towards the east very, very quickly. We're looking at the tower cam, and if you guys can, let's go ahead and go a double box here if you can for me. Let's keep the Doppler radar on one and give me the PNC camera in the other box. I want to show you what's going on here because that camera is really shaking in the wind. I think the high wind field is now working into the downtown area. Can we do that? I think we're getting that together. All right, if not, while you're setting that up, just give me the PNC camera full screen right now while you're setting that up there.
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Okay. All right. There you go. Look at that. I mean, this sits on top of the PNC Bank, and that camera is shaking right now. We've got some pretty high winds blowing through the downtown area.
Jay, also just with some of the lighter showers and non-severe weather into portions of Oldham County up around Westport, we just got a report of a 48-mile-per-hour wind gust. So that's some of those more environmental winds that are being pulled down from a couple thousand feet above us. So you're even outside of severe thunderstorm warnings. We get into some light showers that can push down these winds close to 50 miles per hour. And so you can kind of see that's a lot of what's going on too in downtown, although some of the rain and storms are a little heftier into the metro right now, where we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. And that does include portions of southern Oldham County too, around the Crestwood area. So we'll watch out for that high wind field that arcs from southern portions of Oldham County back through the south and southwestern sides of the metro over to Fort Knox. Mo Rose, what do you got?
71 mile per hour or knot wind gusts at SDF just now. 71 miles, that's what, 80 mile per hour wind gusts, 71 knots?
Gets close to that, I think.
Yeah, and that was just reported at SDF. So it is here. It is getting registered. Just because moments ago it was very calm. So this is a very quick moving storm.
Okay, Suzanne, if you would please, let's go back to the actual reflectivity for me. Okay, the wind field. Now here's what I want you to look at. Here's the wind field. It's on the leading edge of this heavier rain right there, as you can see. All right. It's right through central and south central portions of Jefferson County. This is where we do have at least that wind speed. Did you guys say 80 miles an hour? Just took a little bit of a power hit here at the station, but the high winds are actually reaching across downtown portions of the metro and Jefferson County, and they continue to race quickly off towards the east. So winds of 60 to 80 miles an hour in the metro area, and that extends down into Bullitt County and down the I-65 corridor as well. Getting close to E-Town. It looks like the highest winds are still immediately west of E-Town, but getting our computers back up and running here after that power hit and taking another one. So we've got some nasty weather, a lot of wind energy going on outside, right outside our studio. So hunker down, folks. Stay inside, stay away from windows. This kind of a wind can bust out windows. So stay in the middle of your house, even though we don't have a tornado warning in effect for the metro. We have some very powerful winds, some destructive winds that are likely blowing through, Jefferson County. You can see the leading edge of this shade of pink and brighter reds. That's where the wind field is likely 60 to as high as 80 miles an hour. And this is racing eastbound. Right now it extends from, let's say, the 71 264 split, and then straight south in between 65 and the Gene Snyder. Suzanne's putting a track on that for us. This is hauling eastbound at 70 miles an hour. So no wonder we're getting winds that high, guys.
Yeah, we want to give a heads up to friends in Douglas Hills, Jeffersontown, Middletown, Glen Mary, Anchorage, Lake Forest. And you know, Jay, I think it's really important to point out this, unlike the storms that we had over spring break, we have a full canopy of leaves on the trees. Right. So guys, power outages, down trees, probably going to be a greater threat for us as we make our way throughout this evening with these powerful storms.
No question about it. Okay, so we tracked the metro. We'll come right back to the metro. Don't want to forget our friends down to the south. Let's go farther south. And Suzanne, if you would, let's, okay, here's the tornado warning. This is going to be southern portions of Adair County, moving quickly off to the east. If you are south of Columbia, down near the Cumberland Parkway, in southern Adair County, stay in your basement until the danger has passed, and it's just about out of Adair County, we can say goodbye to this supercell once and for all. But until that time, possible tornado in between Joppa, Montpelier, in southern portions of Adair County, and some rather large hail a little bit north of there. Okay, let's go back off to the north and get back into this wind field now. Here we are. Here's E-Town, Radcliffe. Suzanne, let's get rid of the warnings here real quick. And let's do some tracking. I think the wind field, the real high wind field, and why I'm saying this, Mo, Eric, if you would, check out the Mesonet. Let me know what the winds are doing right now, the latest wind gusts, especially from Radcliffe down to E-Town, down towards, let's say, the Hardinsburg area. So this batch, I'm trying to see your storm track, okay. You're tracking what, Bullitt County and Point South,
Bullitt
Suzanne?
County down into sections of Hardin County, the northern sections of Hardin County. So that would be Colesburg, Younger Creek, Boston, Samuels, Cox's Creek, into Bardstown as it moves a little bit closer over into Nelson County as it moves through. This is the southern part of the warning that we have from the metro onward.
Okay, and it looks like that wind field extends down into now eastern Breckinridge County, western Hardin County, close to Litchfield right now, too. And all that will quickly race off to the east.
We've got a new tornado warning. This one was issued. This is for Grayson County. This is actually kind of overlapping the current tornado warning. You can see that the red box that's blinking on your screen, and that is going to be pushing southeast. That is a very potent storm system that's just east of Litchfield, and that at this point, this is a tornado warning that goes till 10:45. These things are flying, by the way. A lot of wind energy with them. This most recent warning, I'm trying to find out. We have hail about 3/4 of an inch, so a little bit smaller than some of the other storms that we've had, but either way, it is moving pretty quickly east, about 60 miles per hour. So that is the second tornado warning that is blinking on your screen. So we got a couple we got to be monitoring right now.
Okay, Mo, thanks so very much. I've moved over to the BAM here, and what I want to do, I've got the analyzer here behind me, and meteorologist Matt Milosevic, he's running the radar. And Matt, you had on that velocity scan, kind of showed 3 different couplets to me. Is that what you saw too? I see we got one right here near Caneyville. Yep. Blowing up this way here, and it's still a bit of a linear fashion on that, but yeah, right where you're pointing there near Shorts Creek and up towards McDaniels area, Jay, is where over the last couple of scans of the radar, that's been more evident. And it's kind of held together, so we're still getting just 2 or 3 different little areas of rapid rotation, so we could get quick hitting tornadoes out of this band of storms. And you can see how many little notches of inflow we have on the leading edge, all of this which can cause rapid rotation and a quick spin-up tornado as everything races off to the east at speeds of around 50 to 60, even 70 miles an hour. A storm moving that fast, you know you're going to get high winds, just the sheer momentum of the movement from that storm. So a tornado warning in effect. This includes you folks in Litchfield. I need you to be in your basement if you're in Litchfield. If not, no basement, lowest level of your house in an interior room. This also extends into far southern portions of Hardin County, down near Sonora, for example, and northwestern Hart County, close to Bonnieville, Hammondville. So anywhere in that zone, that red polygon, if you reside, be in your basement and stay there until the danger has passed. Now, north of there, all the way up into the metro, high winds are raking off to the east. This heavy rain, these thunderstorms are bringing down the environmental winds, winds that are upwards of 70 to 80 miles an hour. We got a report at SDF, the International Airport, of an 80-mile-an-hour wind gust, believe it or not, and that higher wind field is now reaching towards the east end. Looks like it's very close to the Gene Snyder, the Big Bend, getting close to Pee Wee Valley, certainly down through, let's call it Shepherdsville now, and also Mount Washington, the Fern Creek area, for example, and that's rapidly racing off to the east. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect as a result. Intense weather, guys, moving on through. This wind field is all of a sudden really cranked up on this Friday night, all the way from the metro and points off to the south, and a little subtle rotation going on. Grayson County, southern Hardin County, northwestern Hart, and that's why we have the tornado warning down that way.
And Jay, that is the newer tornado warning. The one that was just north of that for portions of Breckenridge and Hardin County did expire. So that's some good news with that farther northern portion of that line. It is still warned for severe weather, of course, that strong wind field that you've been talking about. Been monitoring our sites around this region to try to get more wind gust indications. Not seeing that. Definitely nothing as strong as in Louisville. That was a 71 knot measure that equates to 81, 82 miles per hour there out of SDF. Been monitoring too in and around Bowman Field and not getting anything near as strong from there. So just a short little distance away, they got a 49 mile per hour wind gust. So what a significant difference just a couple of miles can make, and it'll show you sometimes how very isolated the strongest or the worst of the severe weather can be, whether or not it's been with some large hail that we've had in parts of the WLKY viewing area, the extreme wind gust, or also even the threat for tornadoes across the area, and still that tornado warning that goes down into portions of Grayson, northwestern Hart, and southern Hardin County. Eric, what are you tracking over there?
Yeah, so with these intense winds that are beginning to come down, we're getting more tree reports down now up into Oldham County. So even ahead of the main line, we're starting to get that. And because of this, we're starting to get power outages. LGET is reporting more than 12,000 are now without power here in Jefferson County alone. And I'm sure that number is climbing throughout the viewing area as we are getting these intense winds. I'm sure a lot of trees and power lines are beginning to come down, and that'll be knocking out power as we go through the rest of this evening.
Okay, Eric, thanks so very much. What I'd like to do is go back over to the analyzer. Matt, if you can give me a dual screen, all right? Yeah, let's go to the analyzer, and let's go with reflectivity on the left. Let's go base velocity on the right. What we'll do is we'll just go from eastern portions of Jefferson County, Oldham County, Shelby County, and let's work our way down the line and just kind of see what's going on. Let's zoom in a little bit tight there. Okay, because you can see the heavier rain now that is sprawled out across Jefferson County, and then pockets of heavier rain, a little bit of thunder and lightning up through Oldham, Henry, and Shelby. Then you get into these areas of brighter pinks that are kind of lining up with the heavier rain. Well, that rain is what's bringing down this higher wind field, and that's why we're starting to see this this surgence, if you will, of 60 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts across portions of the metro. And it appears that highest wind field is now moving across the east end through Oldham County, Shelby County, Spencer County, okay? So anybody east of the metro now has a high likelihood of picking up these very strong winds. And this also includes you folks up here in Henry County. So be on the lookout for that. New severe thunderstorm warnings have just been issued for this area of bright pink. This is the wind field that is 60 to 80 miles an hour racing off to the east. As Suzanne talked about a few moments ago, this isn't late February, early March. We've got a full canopy of leaves out there, and those trees are going to catch this wind. We're going to have some downed trees, as Eric just alluded to, and I think we're going to get more and more reports coming in the rest of the late evening on this Friday evening. Everything racing off to the east at speeds of around 60 to 70 miles an hour. Very heavy rainfall, maybe a little bit of hail as well, coming out of the storms in Bullitt County, heading on into Spencer County. Some very heavy rainfall there immediately west of the Elk Creek area. Back over to, is that Lynx 1? Suzanne?
We've got Lynx 1 where we are picking up some very strong winds here, Jay.
Look at that. We're zoomed in tight now. This is southeastern Jefferson County, and we've got here's Spencer County, the Mount Washington area, northeastern Bullitt, and that area of pink, a solid 60 to 70 miles an hour in spots, certainly over 50 miles an hour, and then you see some yellow mixed in, and boy, it is really humming out there, guys. And we saw that on our tower cam, which, by the way, is now under control. It's still rocking a little bit, but it's not doing what it was about 10, 15 minutes ago.
Are you seeing some of those winds down heading over into the Elk Creek area?
Yeah.
Some of those stronger winds right along 44.
Yep, there's 44 coming out of Mount Washington. This is Spencer County. Got the Elk Creek to Taylorsville over towards Taylorsville Lake. So if you're watching from Taylorsville or points off to the east, if you're watching from Shelbyville, know that this high wind field is indeed working in your direction. And as it comes on through, it's going to blow real hard for a short period of time anyway. Has the potential to bring down some trees, and also some power lines as everything races off to the east. Real quick, let's go back. This was interesting to me right there. If you would, let's look at that.
This storm here?
Right here, right here. Matt, Suzanne, do you guys see anything in that? Just kind of looks like a...
We're looking at it, Jay.
Yeah. A little bit of small hail. This is likely some marble-sized hail, maybe some nickel-sized hail. Certainly some very high winds on the leading edge there. We've got
that's where we were seeing, Jay, some of those 91-mile-per-hour winds.
Okay.
Very strong winds near Waterford, Crenshaw. That's the strongest winds I think we've been able to ping on the radar so far, right just outside of Whitfield. That's going to be heading into Elk Creek the next couple of minutes.
Jay, if there is some rotation immediately west and northwest of Taylorsville by a mile or two. Some indication of that. I think it is still mainly straight line wind, but we also get into that scenario where you can have some brief tornado spin-ups. Also still seeing that threat down into Grayson County as well, just south of Litchfield. We've still had some rotation there indicated, mainly south and west of the Western Kentucky Parkway from Litchfield, south of Litchfield, south of Clarkson. So just keep that in mind. That is for a storm that is still under a tornado warning, and that goes until 10:45 in the Eastern time zone, 9:45 Central. So eyes on that, and we're going to continue to monitor this line a little closer, J2, for a couple of perhaps brief spin-ups in some of those more fierce wind fields.
Yeah, real concerned about what's going on now from Henry County, Oldham County, Shelby County, on through western Spencer County and far eastern Jeff. So we're going to watch that very closely. High winds in these locations right now, tracking quickly off to the east along with that very heavy rain, lightning, thunder, and maybe some small hail. And then as we go farther off to the southwest, we have heavy rains moving into the Bardstown area, likely some strong gusty winds as well. Severe thunderstorm warnings have indeed been issued now to include you folks in Bardstown and E-Town, down to near Hodgenville as well. You know, the bottom line, folks, is anywhere along the line and points off to the east now, a threat for severe weather in the form of damaging straight line winds that has really ramped up here over the past 30 minutes or so. And that's what's going to carry east of I-65 and south of I-71 over the next hour or so. Very heavy rainfall and heavy wind also here in western Hardin County. We get into that tornado warning that continues, including you folks in Litchfield, and points off to the east. Southern Hardin County, near White Mills, Sonora, and Upton, and then here in northwestern Hart County, Priceville, Bonneville, Hammondville, for example. And then this is the Western Kentucky Parkway right across Grayson County, where tornado warnings remain in effect. So I need you in your basement, anywhere from Litchfield over to the Hart County line for the next several minutes. Stay there until this danger is past. Otherwise, outside that little rotation, the little velocity couplets that can spin up a tornado, most notably in Grayson and Hart County, we've got a widespread wind field now that's raking across really the southeastern half of the viewing area.
And I think we're probably going to start to get more reports of power outages as well. In fact, do you have something to report
now? Up to over 25,000 without power here in Jefferson County alone.
When we take a quick look at the power outages, you can see pretty significant showing up here with those 70-mile-per-hour winds, those 90-mile-per-hour winds in the metro. That's not going to show up. You said a few thousand. Obviously, that's going to take a little while to catch up there. So let's get back to that radar and put those warnings back on.
All right, Suzanne, thanks so very much. So again, the bottom line is we are tracking some intense wind moving across really the east-southeastern one half of the viewing area, basically from near the Ohio River down 65 and points off towards the east-southeast. From that batch of heavy rain you see, the brighter shades of orange and yellow and points off to the east, that's where the threat for high winds, damaging winds, will continue for about the next 30 to 60 minutes. This line is cruising now quickly off to the east-southeast, and probably inside the next hour and a half, it'll be out of the viewing area altogether. It's going to be away from the metro. I give the metro probably another 15, 20 minutes, and the threat for severe weather will be done in Jefferson County. It'll be moving off to the east-southeast. Matter of fact, the highest wind field is now moving east of Jefferson County, cruising into Oldham County, Shelby, Henry, and Spencer counties of Kentucky, and then arcing down into the Bardstown area, down to near E-Town, and points south from there. There's still that tornado warning for little spin-ups that are possible along the leading edge of this higher wind field that's now appears to be in eastern portions of Grayson County and southern Hardin County, northwestern Hart County. So I think if there's any tornado spin-ups, it's going to be basically in this general area over the next few minutes or so. And I'm seeing a couple little couplets right now. There's one right here, okay? There's one right here, and there's another one holding right in here. So this general area at least has the potential for some decent wind damage and maybe a quick tornado spin-up.
Yeah, most definitely. That's the only tornado warning that we have right now in the WLKY viewing area. So it's a little messy to take a look when we add all those warnings. So this just kind of gives you a basic overview of what's happening as far as our warnings. So the only tornado warning that we have is for areas of Grayson County, northern Hart County, and then to portions of LaRue County. So we have that one. What I want to do now is I want to add on those severe thunderstorm warnings to let you know what's happening, because so far our severe thunderstorm warnings have brought us the greatest damage reports as well, with a number of downed trees. I could hear them talking in the newsroom about a number of downed trees in the metro. And as Mo and Eric were talking about, also a number of power outages reported in the thousands in the metro as well. So you can see we have all right along that line, severe thunderstorms. Those are piling through all the way up from areas of Shelby County, back across areas of Grayson County, all the way through areas of Hart County, and moving into portions of Greene and Taylor counties as well.
Okay. Reports in Crestwood. We've got trees down on 329 West Highway in Westport, at 524 in Westport in Oldham County. Also, power lines coming down. We've got reports in Breckenridge County and Cloverport. Trees down in McDaniels, which we just saw. This is what the storm, the tornado-warned storm that's moved through. Also, we're seeing that wind field. We've even got one just east of Shepherdsville, and we've got winds gusting 55 miles per hour on our wind velocity, and there's just a lot of little storms out there with a lot of wind energy, so we got to be watching them closely. If you want to take a look at the Bullitt County storm, just coming down pretty heavy in spots, but the wind is picked up a little bit.
Sure. Okay, Mo, thank you so very much. So there's your wind field now running from Shelby County down into Spencer County. The leading edge still upwards of 60, maybe 80 miles an hour in a few isolated locations. Certainly high enough to cause some tree damage, some power line damage. And the power outages continue to climb late on this Friday evening. Will likely continue to do so, mainly east and south of the metro. In addition, any of the heavier cores still have the potential to produce a little bit of small hail. And Suzanne, yeah, there you go, a little bit of hail. Now on this particular radar, when you see those little hail trackers, if you will, those hail indicators, we're talking about nickel-sized hail is likely in these locations. Western Hardin, maybe on the Hardin-Bullitt County line, and moving into northwestern portions of Spencer County, getting close to Elk Creek and the Waterford area, and fairly close to Taylorsville as well. So still a little bit of hail out there in spots, but this seems to be transitioning from hail and tornadoes, big tornado threat, to more of a straight line wind threat with a possibility of a few little spin-ups.
Jay, just got a report off the Kentucky Mesonet, 59-mile-per-hour gust in Elizabethtown with that line that's looking very fierce right over Interstate 65 right now. That's going to be moving on through, so already picked up those wind gusts there at close to 60 miles per hour in Hardin County, very close to Elizabethtown with that particular line. Also continuing to monitor, and I know we've been watching this along the Spencer and Shelby County line, some of the wind gusts there, Jay, and we're talking just about 2,000 to 2,500 feet up, upwards of 80 miles per hour still. So if you're watching us from about Taylorsville up towards I-64 in especially eastern Shelby County, we want to be on the lookout for the intense wind gust potential that continues. This is part of the same complex that brought the 80-mile-per-hour wind gust there to Muhammad Ali International Airport just a few minutes ago.
Okay, Matt, thanks so very much. So we have severe thunderstorm warnings now, especially off to the east and to the south of the metro. We still have a small tornado warning that is moving into southern Hardin and northwestern Hart County for the next several minutes. It's basically in this shower and thunderstorm activity where we've got a couple of very small velocity couplets that are capable of quick tornado spin-ups. But, you know, a 60 to 80 mile an hour wind gust can cause just as much damage as an EF0 tornado. And we're starting to see widespread, very strong and gusty winds that range anywhere from 55 to as high as 80 miles an hour, outside of any rotating thunderstorms. And boy, this product really picks up. Suzanne, this is a great look at the leading edge of the high wind field right there. You can see it running from east of E-Town, in between, it looks like in between E-Town and Bardstown. Here's eastern Hardin County, just west of Hodgenville, and then runs down through Hart County, and then down into far southeastern portions of Grayson County. So that brighter shade of green right there, that squiggly, if you will, moves off to the northeast. That's the leading edge of the real high winds, where you go from relatively light winds to winds that could be 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, capable of causing some damage. And that extends off to the northeast now into Shelby County and Henry County as well.
I think, Mo, did you just say that you heard something else?
Oh, no, I was looking at that rotation, the rotation detector just south of E-Town. That's outside of the tornado warned box. But, man, some of these winds are gusting. We've got the Mesonet registering a couple of high wind gusts. Let's see, out of Hardin County, that was 59 miles per hour. Matt just mentioned that. And also a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust in Spencer County, which makes sense. That's very close to probably where that line of storms just moved through, that high wind field. We have a 48-mile-per-hour wind gust in Oldham County, 52-mile-per-hour wind gust in Meade County from those earlier storms, and 47-mile-per-hour wind gust in Breckenridge County. A lot of wind out there.
Okay, Mo, thanks so very much. All right, so the severe weather continues east and south of the metro area. Very high winds. 75 miles being pinged on the radar scan right now, close to and just east and south of Shelbyville in Shelby County, close to Taylorsville Lake, eastern Spencer County. And you can see the high wind field as you travel off to the north, hence the severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect. Now, I do want to say this. If you're watching from Jefferson County, guess what? We are done. We are done with the severe weather threat for the night. Even though we have a little bit of eastern Jefferson County in the warning, the highest wind field is now well off to the east of far eastern Jefferson County. The metro is done with severe weather. Things will be quieting down over the next 1 to 2 hours, and we'll go clear after midnight. However, east of Metro Louisville, down through Bloomfield, to Bardstown, close to E-Town, just east of E-Town. Raining cats and dogs right now in E-Town, by the way, gusty winds. And then down the I-65 corridor, that heavy rain zone, that's where we still have the severe weather threat alive and well in the form of damaging straight line winds and the possibility of perhaps a little spin up. That's why that tornado warning continues for the next several minutes, mainly for the I-65 corridor of southern portions of Hardin County. So Sonora, Upton, you're still in a tornado warning. Stay in your place of safety until that real high wind field moves off to your east, and it will in relatively short order. Same can be said down around Bonneville. You can see the brighter shades of green very close to you, arcing up to Upton, Sonora, and then west of Hodgenville. That's that sudden change in wind speed, what we call wind shear. It can be a directional change as well. Oftentimes it is, and that directional change can at times lead to tornado spin-ups. But a lot of this is just straight line wind on the order of 50 to 70 miles an hour, sometimes up to 80, like we had reported here in the metro area.
I wonder if they're able to take a double box with us so that we can show, keep the radar up there, but show you, thank you. We'll keep the radar up and maybe that other double box if we couldn't just show you what's going on a little bit closer over to Bonneville. So obviously you can see a ton of lightning here and quite a bit of thunder. So I just wanted to point that out there on 65, but obviously we want to show you the radar because we have a lot going on here with obviously some of those warnings that continue. We have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings just to the east of the metro, obviously moving across areas of Shelby County and Spencer County. Spencer County hard hit with some very gusty winds so far. The only tornado warning that we currently have is that one that's down across areas right near Sonora, Upton, a little bit closer into the Glendale area. And so that's why we are showing you that on 65, showing you that torrential rainfall and gusty winds with that line of storms knocking on the door of Hodgenville, Buffalo, moving into the Stiles area and New Haven area in the next couple of minutes. So bottom line, we've had tens of thousands, I believe, without power. So we're going to be watching for power outages, down trees. We've got crews that are out there trying to get you the very latest on what's going on with some of the damage reports that we've received.
Suzanne, you got a camera to show us that was where?
That was over near Bonneville.
Bonneville, we still have it. Let's go to that camera. And in the small box, let's put the radar up instead, if we could, up there, Tyler. Bottom left, that small box, the radar, not the camera. Let's go to, give me the storm analyzer if you could. That's fine too. Just keep that right there. Okay. All right, now as we go, this was the Bonneville area on our camera. Is that?
That's right. Bonneville area on 65.
Okay.
We're seeing that heavy rainfall.
You can see the spray coming off of 65. The higher wind field is right there right now as this line of storms continues to march off to the east very, very quickly. And this is just an example of what folks are going to see along and ahead of this line as it moves across any one location. I mean, this is some intense wind, heavy rainfall as well. And you look at the storm analyzer in the lower left-hand portion of your screen there, and you can see occasional little velocity couplets. Very concerned about those because in the environment we have, at times they can, you know, spin up quick hitting tornadoes. And we've seen that from time to time on this Friday evening, hence the tornado warnings that have been issued. We still have that tornado warning in effect. However, some of that rotation, guys, seems to be weakening quite a bit.
And it's very sporadic.
Yeah,
Jay.
it really is.
There's nothing organized like we saw earlier with some of the longer-lived supercell thunderstorms across the region, especially out to our west. These are definitely more, let's just say, almost sporadic, even a little bit random. I think the main concern is going to be straight-line wind gusts with the potential for perhaps within some of these lines a brief spin-up tornado. Also, still the potential for some generally smaller hail across the area. We're seeing a couple of cores along the Hardin and LaRue County line between Elizabethtown and Hodgenville, so that would be the Lincoln Highway area, as well as up toward northern Nelson County near Bloomfield. Some indications there in some of the stronger hail cores that we might see a few, perhaps nickel to penny size on the higher side in these. But yeah, still a lot of wind out there, Jay, and watching some of those occasional bouts of rotation will definitely let you know if anything gets to be more persistent out there over maybe several velocity scans.
Eric, what do you have?
And going off of what Matt was saying, we did just get a report of dime-size hail in Taylorsville out in Spencer County. So that does go to show with some of those heavy downpours, there's even a little bit of some small hail getting mixed in, coming all the way down to the surface as well. So we still can't rule out the hail threat as we go through the rest of this evening either.
Gotcha, Eric. Thank you so very much. Suzanne, on that radar, on that wind velocity you have, let's pull out there a little bit. A brand new warning has just been issued. Look at the massive size of that severe thunderstorm warning. That it encompasses about the southeastern 1/3 of the WLKY viewing area, all the way from Washington County down to near the Kentucky-Tennessee state line. And that's for that wind field. You know, the NWS is seeing the same thing we are in that, yeah, this line of heavy rain and thunderstorm activity is now starting to mix down the environmental winds, the winds aloft. So there's a good chance that everybody along and east of that line of heavier storms will see the potential for 50, 60, 70 mile an hour winds and localized 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts like we had here in the metro at the International Airport. As I talked about a few moments ago, if you're watching from the metro, we are done. The severe weather threat is gone. It's now off to the east and south. So we can call today as far as Jefferson County goes with this severe weather. However, off to the south, here's Bardstown and Nelson County. This is LaRue County. Suzanne is tracking the leading edge of some pretty gusty winds right now as they move rapidly off to the east. So we're talking coming out of LaRue County on through Marion County. Looks like Howardstown, New Hope, Culvertown, Badger, Raywick. Anywhere from now to about 10:52. You get to Lebanon a little after 11 o'clock. Same in Springfield and the Greenbrier area in Washington County around 11:03. Watch out for some pretty high wind on the order of 50, 60, even 70 miles an hour. This product shows the leading edge of the wind field absolutely perfect right there. It's that brighter shade of green right now running from New Haven, probably just ahead of that right now, down to just east of Buffalo, through Magnolia, east and south of Bonneville, and then just off to the north of Horse Cave. That's the leading edge of the real high winds. Those will continue to race off to the east and affect Marion County, Washington County, Greene, Taylor, the rest of Hart, and eventually Adair County once again as everything quickly races eastbound. You can see our storm tracker in some of the communities when the high wind will likely be affecting your hometown.
Yeah, and that is, you mentioned that is a huge warning. I'm going to go ahead and paint the warnings back on for everyone because I realize it looks very confusing and very messy because we have so many warnings out there, just an indication of this kind of violent night that we have had with these powerful winds. So as Jay pointed out, we have that huge warning that extends across the southern and far eastern section of the viewing area. We still have that one tornado warning, it looks like, for the areas south into Hardin County. So we'll have to continue to monitor for that. Bottom line, we're going to be watching for those gusty winds. Those are holding together relatively well, it looks like, as they continue to push off and moving at 65 miles per hour.
And Suzanne, the good news is, just as you mentioned it, we cleared at 10:45.
Tornado warning.
So no tornado warnings currently in the WLKY region, so that's great news. But I guess it makes it a little easier when you look at the map. If you live south and east from the Louisville area, you're likely under a tornado warning. And we're seeing quite a few reports, severe thunderstorm, thank you. We're coming in with quite a few reports that have been between 45 and 55 miles per hour, a little more widespread with embedded areas that will go upwards of 60, and as we've mentioned earlier, upwards of 80 miles per hour several minutes ago back when the storms were over the Louisville area at SDF.
Spencer County into portions of Shelby County and into portions of northern Bullitt County, certainly areas that were hard hit. It sounds like a very active newsroom. We're going to work to get you a lot of video. I think, Mo, did you have something to add?
Yeah, actually, I want to see if you can pull up links 3 real quick, because I do want to show you something and also kind of warn you about the fact that these storms that just blew through the area, you know, Jefferson County, we're in the clear. However, there has been damage. There could be debris in the roadway. And Trimark, they had just zoomed in on some of the construction pieces that were out there. They had a couple of gates that are blocking a ramp that they're doing construction on this weekend, but a couple of them blew into the roadway, and then there's also a couple in the grass. So that's just kind of an idea that with these high winds, even though we are now in the clear as far as what's falling from the sky, we have to be careful at what is on the roads. There's probably a lot of limbs in the roadways. And also, as long as I'm showing you, the storms that are blowing through down along 65, Suzanne was showing us some earlier where we had that tornado warning, but just sheets of rain. Some of the cameras have actually gone out. Here's another view of 65. This is south of E-Town, closer to Hart County, and it is just coming down in buckets. So you just have to be so careful if you are one driving through these storms, but even post-storm activity, there could be debris in the roadway, and it's dark, it is tough to see, so you have to be incredibly cautious wherever you're traveling.
That is an awesome point right there, especially now that we're getting into the weekend, a lot of folks out. As Mo just talked about, if you're going to be out and about overnight tonight through early tomorrow morning, yes, slow it down. Drive, even though the storms will be gone, you never know. You could come across some debris, especially when it is dark out there. Absolutely great point, Mo. As far as the latest on the warnings and what we have going on. All right. So we still have severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have active weather with damaging straight line winds occurring east and south of the metro area. This is southern portions of Nelson County right here from Culvertown down to New Hope. Then you get into places like Marion County. This is Washington County. And the leading edge of the real high wind field is now moving into our southeastern communities, okay? And that's where we're getting reports of at least 50 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts, and those winds capable of, again, bringing down some trees, knocking out some power. So this is southern Nelson, Marion. Let's go a little bit farther off towards the south, okay? We get into Taylor County, Greene County, and also into portions of Hart County. Mo, if you would, let's go back to that rotation detector, because it really shows the leading edge of that high wind field quite nicely. We can really pick it out where it is. There you go. You can see it clear as day running from Munfordville off to the northeast, close to the Badger area of northwestern Taylor County, close to Raywick right now, Loretto, and then points off to the north from there. And this is sweeping eastbound quickly. So if you're watching from Lebanon, Bradfordsville to Campbellsville, down to Greensburg, the Pierce area, you are in the path for some pretty high winds here over the next 15 to 30 minutes or so, and winds that could cause some damage, some property damage, some tree damage, and certainly some power outages.
And these storms are moving really fast, Jay. They're moving at about 65 miles per hour. So just that forward motion can also cause some problems as far as wind damage as well. And that leading edge really being clearly marked there, heading into Horse Cave at about 10:52 near Springfield at 1 past 11, near Lebanon at about 11:01, near Hobson at about 11:02, and Greenbrier at about 11:05. So expect some very strong winds to head into your area in relatively short order as that line of storms just races into your area. We were pinging some of those powerful winds, perhaps gusting 75 miles per hour. That's what's showing up on the radar. Something to consider is we did have some ground truth with those 80-mile-per-hour winds that were moving through portions of the metro. So certainly an indication of the strength of some of those winds that are moving through. So this is near Holy Cross, 71-mile-per-hour wind gusts there, 72-mile-per-hour wind gusts right near the New Hope area. Heading into St. Francis, about a 69-mile-per-hour wind gust there. That would be heading into Gandertown, Loretto, a little bit closer over into the Raywick area as well. Just a cluster of some powerful winds racing through. Let me throw those warnings on for you again, because we have plenty of them, and you can see they go all the way from basically 71 all the way down to the parkways here, down into sections of Adair County.
And Susanna is also looking on Storm Analyzer radar within that wind field. Jay and everyone too. The one indication of still a little bit of minor rotation that I see is right along where LaRue, Greene, and Hart County meet. So this would be between Summersville and Magnolia and off towards the east of Bonnieville. So a fairly rural area, but a location that may still have a little bit of rotation within that line of otherwise strong straight line wind gusts. So continuing to keep eyes on that.
It's kind of on the northern side of that apex of the bow, isn't it?
It is, just a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so we'll watch that real close. Matt was talking about this area right in there. Right in there. So we're going to watch that very closely for you as it quickly moves off towards the east and also the southeast, okay? Severe weather threats still alive and well in our southeastern communities. Suzanne, if you would, let's pull out. Let's go back to the viewing area. Or Matt, if you're running Storm Analyzer for me, let's go back out to the viewing area. There you go. And let's go to our last frame. Okay, that's fine too. All right. So here's what we got going on. If you're watching from the metro, in the clear, we're done. If you're watching from southern Indiana, in the clear, you are done. If you reside west of 65, down until you get to Hart County, okay, you're done. You are done with the severe weather. If you live anywhere in Grayson County, done with the severe weather, okay? It's along this heavy batch of rain, basically east of 65 and very close to the Bluegrass Parkway and points south from there and east from there. That's where we still have the threat for severe weather. High winds, maybe a quick hitting tornado spin up. Matt's watching that little area very, very closely for you. Right now, it's not really showing signs of strengthening, but it won't take much to strengthen the winds we have like we do tonight in the atmosphere. We're watching it, but nonetheless, some high winds capable of causing some wind damage in southeastern portions of the viewing area from Washington County, Marion County, Greene-Taylor, and Adair counties for the next 15 to 30 minutes. Then I think much of this will be getting out of the region as quieter weather resumes.
And Jay, that was our timing of this storm all day long, you know, as we were looking for an uptick and a development of the storms shortly after the 5 o'clock hour. Those were really getting going out to the west. And we said watch out until 11 o'clock midnight across the region as it moves off towards the south and east. So I hope you were prepared with that. From the timing of these storms, boy, the intensity at times, while it has fluctuated back and forth a little bit across the region, I mean, we've had anywhere from 80+ mile per hour wind gust in the Louisville area. We've had tornado warnings as well as hailstones. And Suzanne right now is painting on what has been some healthy rain totals. For a while, we were under a flash flood watch, too, in our southern communities after some heavier rain for the morning. So this has really been a storm system that has brought all types of severe weather hazards to our area. And while we are starting to get on the back edge of this storm system and beginning to clear our communities from Louisville and points to the north and west from severe weather, we still have our friends to the south and east that are going to be dealing with this for about the next hour or so, Jay. We'll continue to watch these strong wind fields and wind gusts. I'm looking at the latest gusts coming off the Kentucky Mesonet and some of the actual measured observations across the region, and I'm not seeing anything too strong over the past few minutes. Sometimes these will miss those observation stations too. So that's why we use the radar to show you these strong wind fields, Jay, like you've been pointing out, and Suzanne, and running the radar where we still have the possibility of winds gusting perhaps well over 60 miles per hour at times. And that prompts the severe thunderstorm warnings that continue.
Yeah, look at that wind field right there. We're pinging in 81. That could be a little bit aloft, but nonetheless, it goes to show you just how powerful this wind field is as it's now moving into our southeastern communities. And moving off to the east-southeast, the entire zone is very quickly at speeds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So again, let's pull out. Suzanne, let's go back to the viewing area as a whole, put back on the reflectivity. Let's take the warnings off because it does get kind of busy, as you know. You can see where the heaviest rain, i.e. the highest winds, are located. So running from the capital city down through the Bardstown area, or just east of there, and then down into sections of Marion County, northern Taylor County, Greene County, and Hart County. We still have heavy rain, likely some gusty winds across LaRue County and north of Bardstown, but that wind field will be subsiding in relatively short order. Again, it's our far, far southeastern communities, Washington County, Marion County, Taylor County, Greene County, the rest of Hart County, and also Adair County. We have to be on the lookout for the high wind field for the next 15 to 30 minutes. Once we get it through any one location, severe weather threat is going to drop off the table. And the rotation detector shows the leading edge of that higher wind field very, very nicely, where you see the brighter shades of green running from Springfield, close to Lebanon now, down to Badger, Allendale, and then finally down towards Horse Cave. That's where that very strong, gusty, straight-line wind field is located, and it is quickly racing off towards the east and also the southeast. Will likely be out of the viewing area by 11:30 tonight. Certainly by midnight, everybody will be done with the severe weather. But until that time, and for the next several minutes, we're still looking at strong, gusty winds. We're still looking at powerful winds, winds capable of bringing down trees and snapping power lines too.
Yeah, and something to consider, you know, obviously, as you were mentioning, we're a little bit farther away from the radar here, but we are seeing at least estimates of winds gusting the upwards of 80 miles per hour, 74 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour. Something to consider. We have seen winds that have been that strong, so we do want to caution you that as we're picking this up on the radar in the Burke Spring area, St. Mary, Frogtown, Raywick, heading into Lebanon in the next couple of minutes, we want you to be on guard because these are very strong winds, and these are maintaining their strength as they are continuing to race off to the east at about 65 miles per hour. So this is nothing to mess around with. So severe thunderstorm warnings certainly have been painted on all across our southern communities and our eastern communities, and we're seeing that right now. The good news is for our area right now, we don't have any tornado warnings, but an 80-mile-per-hour wind is certainly very significant regardless of whether it's rotating.
And Suzanne just got a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust near Lebanon, so just off to the north and west of town, and that correlates really quite perfectly with that stronger wind field. So even if the highest of those wind gusts aren't working their way down, anything close to 60, that's a severe thunderstorm wind gust, and so that's why we have those numerous warnings still flashing on the screen there on the Doppler radar for our south and eastern communities. So we'll continue to monitor it as some of those stronger gusts come in.
Still a couple of tornado warnings out there, not in the viewing area, but down in the south, and it looks like we might have a tornado on the ground.
In Somerset.
Yes, in Somerset, number one. Also
Actually,
very close to Russellville and south of Bowling Green. So a couple of them. These are outside the viewing area, but nonetheless, those pink shadings you see indicate tornadoes that are likely on the ground, causing some damage. Not in our viewing area, but again, close to Bowling Green, just south of Bowling Green. So friends and family there, maybe the kiddos are staying for the summer, they have a summer job, give them a call for them. They just say, hey, stay in your basement until this entire storm system gets on out of here, and it will shortly, even in the Bowling Green area. All right, let's pull out. Let's take a look at the entire region here. Again, if you are north and west of the metro, even if you're in the metro, the threat for severe weather has ended. If you're up the I-71 corridor, the threat has also ended. However, it is still alive and well anywhere from close to the capital city and points off to the east and off towards the south. Here we are, 11 o'clock on this Friday night. Severe weather has been pulling across the region. We've been tracking strong and severe storms, even tornadic thunderstorms for the past several hours. And even though we have pretty much lost the tornado warnings, a good thing in the WLKY viewing area, we continue to track very high winds, especially here in southeastern portions of the viewing area, anywhere from Washington County, Marion County, Taylor, Greene, southeastern Hart, and also Adair counties. And that's the location. Those are the areas that still have that threat for some very high winds. This is likely close to Lebanon, just east of you. This is down through Taylor, or I should say Campbellsville. This is down through Greensburg as well as Columbia. The metro, as you can see, we're done. We are done with the storms. We are done with the rain. That's some good news, and things will be very quiet the rest of the night on into tomorrow for your weekend as well. But for the next several minutes, I'd say for about the next 30 minutes or so, we have to be on our guard, especially here in Washington County, Marion, Taylor, Greene, Hart, and Adair counties. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue in those regions for winds that could be upwards of 50 to 70 miles an hour. Right here in the metro at the International Airport, we had a wind gust to 80 miles an hour. We've had reports of trees down, power lines down in the metro surrounding locations. No doubt we're going to get additional reports coming in as this high wind field continues to push across our southeastern communities. And Suzanne, if you would please for me go back to that rotation detector. Again, this shows where the leading edge is quite nicely. Springfield, Lebanon, Hobson, and then down just north of Greensburg. That is where we're getting winds easily 60 to 70 miles an hour, perhaps even locally higher in a few spots, causing some power issues, causing some trees to come down, and also a little bit of damage out there. Eric, what do you have?
Yeah, we just got confirmed wind gusts in Lebanon of 60 miles per hour. So that shows the truth of what we're seeing on the radar as well. So some very strong winds moving through the Lebanon area.
All right, sir, thank you so very much. Matt, that rotation that we were a little concerned about a few moments ago, how does that appear to you now?
You know, looking at it right now, I would say it's still on the northern edge of the Bow Echo, the main area there, so it is in a favorable spot. It still looks weak.
Close to Springfield.
You know, and it is. It's just immediately off towards the east and southeast there. And it's also on that edge of where Eric had just mentioned, and we had at the Mesonet site, some wind gusts near 60 miles per hour as well. Was also, Jay, just kind of looking off towards that Somerset tornado too. A little bit of a debris indication on that one immediately south of town in Somerset into southeastern Kentucky. So we watch that closely. That is, I believe, spotter confirmed too on the ground. The one that was farther out near Russell Springs was radar confirmed as well. I was looking at that closely, maybe a brief indication of debris indication there too. So some really rough weather too in far southern and southeastern Kentucky as we deal with kind of more of the straight line winds here with this strong wind field that you've been tracking here.
All right, gang, hold in there. We are just about done with this threat for severe weather. It is now in our far, far southeastern communities. Of course, we are totally done here in town. Anywhere west of I-65 in the viewing area, we're pretty much done with the severe weather. Anywhere north of the parkways, we are done with the severe weather threat, but it is still somewhat alive and well there from Greene, Taylor, Marion, and Adair counties. And it's going to continue to move quickly off to the east-southeast. That higher wind field will for the next 30 to 60 minutes. Then it'll carry out of the viewing area altogether. But again, tracking some very powerful winds. Lebanon to Bradfordsville, down towards Campbellsville, Greensburg, and then just south of Horse Cave. And again, you can see a tornado warning, confirmed tornado on the ground near Somerset, and we have another radar indicated tornado that's immediately south of Bowling Green. Both of them having a little bit of a debris ball associated with them. So those two storms bear watching very, very closely. And there you go. There's the debris tracker or correlation coefficient. That blue indicates some debris in the atmosphere. It's co-located with the rotation. That tells us we got a tornado on the ground. As far as the rotation on this one, Matt, where was that rotation showing up? Well, we got a little bit of a notch here, certainly. Don't see a lot of real strong rotation. There was, go back to that velocity scan there for me, Suzanne. Green, winds blowing towards the top portion of your set, red the opposite direction. So very broad rotation near Auburn right now. But nonetheless, strong enough that a tornado warning remains in effect. It looks like by and large that twisting and turning will stay south of the city of Bowling Green. So some good news there. Yes, Eric.
Let's go over the links too. Because we're getting these extreme wind gusts, we're now starting to really get a good idea of the power outages that are occurring throughout the area. So as we look at links 2, we'll queue for Jefferson County, and you can see we're about 24,000 without power here in Jefferson County. As you get down into Bullitt County, we're close to 8,500. Across the river over into southern Indiana, Clark County, we're about 6,500. As you get down into Hardin County, 3,500. So yeah, we are getting a good bit of some power outages beginning to show up due to those gusty winds. We're also getting a report of a pretty good tree completely blocking a neighborhood road in the Peace Avenue in Mount Washington. So I'm sure we're going to get more of these reports now that the worst of the storms have kind of moved out to Jefferson and much of the viewing area. People are starting to get out and assess what has happened in their neighborhood. So I'm sure the reports are really going to start to come in now as things start to calm down a little bit.
Okay, we're going to go over to Rick and Vicki here in just one quick second. What I'd like to do is go back over to links 1, show the radar, show the Doppler radar. Once again, let's go to the Doppler radar here real quick if we could. That would be links 1. Okay, there we go. Suzanne, let's go out to the full viewing area. Okay. All right, so we have the storms left over here in Washington County, Marion County, Taylor, Greene, and also Hart County. This is where the storms are racing off to the southeast. This is where they are still producing the potential for some high winds that could be 50 to 60, even localized 70 miles per hour. This wind field should be moving out of the WLKY viewing area altogether within the next 15 to 30 minutes or so. And then it looks like we can say goodbye to this severe weather threat for the rest of the night. But until that time, we're going to stay with this severe thunderstorm activity, get it out of the viewing area altogether. And there's that wind field. There's that wind. Say that again. Okay. All right, there's that wind field again that's running from Marion County and points off to the south. But Rick, Vicki, here's the deal. This wind field is going to be moving out of the viewing area altogether, likely within the next 15 to 30 minutes. It is certainly done in the metro, but boy, what a night it has been, and now it's all about cleaning up after some of this higher wind energy that has rolled on through. Guys, let's send it over to you.
All right, Jay and the crew have been telling us about all the damage, and let's take a look at it. Breaking news out of PRP for us right now.
That's where we're on the scene of a tree that has fallen on a house. WLKY's Megan Matthews is live at the scene on Pyrus Lane, just west of Dixie Highway. Megan, what are you seeing there?
Hey, Rick and Vicki, we're over on Pyrus Lane, and I'm going to step over to the side so you can take a look at this house. The tree has fallen completely on top. What they're saying is that it's fallen on the back half of the house, so that house, or the back half, is a bit crushed, and apparently the owner of the house has been evacuated. Neighbors say that they heard a big boom, weren't really sure what it was. We do have a fire truck here that has been here assessing the scene as well, and they said that they cannot comment on, the details of the scene, but they are still working on more information for us. I also want to mention that over on Dixie Highway off of southbound of Watterson, all of the power was out. You'll also see as you continue to drive down that there are some blinking stoplights. Some of the power is out on the stoplights as well completely. But, the more that you run down those, the more that you will just see some of those lights completely out. And as you continue to go down, it'll just kind of be splotchy in and out of those lights. But like I said, they're still trying to gather some more information on this scene with this tree. Other than that, the other debris that we're seeing are just, twigs and other branches that are down in the area and along the road. Back to you.
Megan, and right now, LG&E is reporting more than 25,000 customers without power in the Louisville area, 27,000 of those in Jefferson County. Kentucky Utilities is reporting more than 12,000 outages, and Duke Energy is reporting around 3,000 outages in southern Indiana.
Before the storms rumbled through our area, they carved a deadly path through St. Louis. At this hour, at least 4 people are confirmed dead, and an area of about 20 square blocks suffered significant damage. A church and firehouse were among the structures that were hit, and firefighters from that station are now among the many crews involved in a search and rescue mission.
This is going to be a very exhausting and extensive search pattern, because right now we're still in. We're going to search every building tonight. We will be on it.
Officials say despite the deaths from the storm, there are surprisingly few reports of injuries so far. And also associated with those storms in the St. Louis area, some decent-sized hail. This is video taken by a resident in a small community west of the city. You can see the stones blanketed the ground. High winds also toppled trees and left thousands without power.
Holy cow.
Cow is right. This video is sent to us by a viewer, Derek Bailey. It's a tornado near Bloomington, Indiana. A tornado warning was issued for that area around 7:30 tonight. Our affiliate, CBS 4 in Indianapolis, is reporting confirmation from officials in Bloomington that the post office on South Rogers Street was destroyed in Friday's storms. Now, ahead of the storms, Governor Beshear declared a state of emergency for Kentucky. That move activated the Kentucky Emergency Operations Center and put units of the Kentucky National Guard on standby to respond. Transportation cabinet officials and crews are on alert as well. The governor also implemented the state's price gouging laws to protect you from overpriced goods and services during the cleanup and recovery from the storms. Any price gouging should be reported to the Attorney General's office.
Now to some late-breaking news from Louisville's Taylor Berry neighborhood.
That's where the storms have toppled a tree as well. It's fallen on a house there. WLKY's Jamie Mays is live on Wardle Avenue. Jamie, what's the situation there tonight?
Rick, I just heard not too long ago from Louisville Fire Department who told me after that tree fell on the house right over my corner, my shoulder here on Wardle Avenue, we're told 3 people were inside. 2 of those occupants, they said, were able to be rescued out. At least 3 people inside. 2 were able to be rescued out. And not too long after we got here, we could hear people cheering as we saw one man being taken out of the house in a stretcher. That last person that was trapped in that house has been rescued, it appears. We can see right here some rescue crews, fire department are still here at the scene, and neighbors are just kind of looking on at this incredible rescue that's happened out here where Louisville Fire Department has responded. There's been lots of high winds throughout the night. Trees toppled down. You can kind of see on the ground here some branches, so there is definitely a lot of high wind out here, and luckily Louisville Fire Department was able to respond here on time to rescue these people out of this house here on Wardle Avenue. We're still waiting to learn a little bit more about the state and the condition of the people who were inside the home, how they're doing right now. But as I said a minute ago, as we arrived here at the scene, we did see someone being pulled out on a stretcher, people cheering, so it appeared that person was at least alive at the time that they were pulled out of that home. You can see this big tree here that looks like it's fallen, and the branches that are here. So lots of damage out here on Wardle Avenue. We'll continue to update you and provide you with more information on the condition of the people inside of that home as it becomes available. Back to you.
Yeah, Jamie, those wind gusts were something tonight. Now, severe weather situations like tonight have one local county beefing up its efforts to keep its citizens safe.
Details on the proposed improvements, that's straight ahead on WLKY News at 11.
All right, weather-wise, we are just about out of the woods across the entire viewing area. We still have some strong and severe storms capable of producing damaging winds down in Hart, Greene, Taylor, and Adair counties, arcing up into eastern Marion as well. Once those move through, we can say goodbye to the severe weather threat. That weekend forecast, it looks much better. That's coming up in a few minutes.
Now, your WLKY weather with Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi.
Hi, folks. 11:17 on this Friday night. We're just about done with this severe weather threat. Certainly done in the metro, done really across the northwestern 3/4 of the viewing area. But you can see some powerful storms still ongoing to the south and also the southeast. Our far, far southeastern communities, the severe weather threat is still alive and well, especially where you see the brighter shade shades of yellow, a little bit of orange, a little bit of red. On the leading edge, especially of that heavier rain, we're still getting winds that could be upwards of 60 to 70 miles an hour. We just had a wind gust blow through Campbellsville of 60 to 65 miles an hour. And this is a widespread wind event that's raking across really the southeastern one half of the viewing area. Southern Indiana missed a lot of this. Great news there. But from the metro and points south, quite a bit of damage, tree damage, power line damage has been noted. All right, here we are. This is sections of Taylor County. Very heavy rainfall running from Merrimack over towards Hobson and Campbellsville, arcing back into the Greensburg area and Horse Cave as well. Suzanne Horgan running that radar for us on this Friday evening, tracking the leading edge of the heavier rain and also the heavy wind field. It's moving quickly eastbound. Feathersburg around 1120, Cane Valley around 1121, the Nifley area 1124, and Barnett Springs down around 1130 or so. That's when that real heavy wind field and heavy rain batch will be reaching your area. Real quick, this is just outside the viewing area, but this tornado has been on the ground very close to the Somerset area, has a debris signature with it. This is a nasty, nasty looking storm and still has that debris signature as indicated by that shading of blue, as that is co-located with the velocity couplet. That tells us that the tornado is on the ground. And we think that this tornado touched down just west of Somerset, blew through town or just south of Somerset, and is now a little bit farther off towards the east. So that is one nasty cell. And believe it or not, that is the same storm, same supercell that developed out across south central portions of Missouri. It's been alive and well ever since. That's how long tracked some of these storms and tornadoes have been on this Friday evening. Once again, we'll get these storms off to the southeast of the viewing area within the next 30 to 60 minutes, certainly by midnight. And that will be it for the threat everywhere in the WLKY viewing area. Already in town, the rain has ended. The winds have come down. Now it's just about cleaning up some of the trees that have been blown over and getting power restored. Let's check your 7-day forecast now. As we go through the next couple of days, we're going to bottom out at 64 tonight. We're 77, beautiful weather on your Saturday, and we need this. The nice weather extends into Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. Highs near 80, because next week, boy, we get back into some active weather. Could it be severe? It's possible. We have alerts, I should say impact weather alerts on there for Monday, Tuesday, and also Wednesday. Temperatures will be in the upper 70s. And then, guys, look what happens. My gosh, we fall into the 60s next Wednesday and Thursday. It is May.
It is May, yes.
Is.
Topsy-turvy for sure.
Let's go down to breaking news now from Louisville's Taylor Berry neighborhood.
That's where the storms have toppled a tree and that has fallen on a house. And Jamie Mays now has someone to talk with us in the Wordle Avenue area. Jamie?
That's right. We're out here right now on Wordle Avenue, where we just saw a rescue that happened after a tree fell down on a home out here earlier this evening. I'm here speaking with Louisville Fire Department's Tony Downs. Tony, can you just give me a little bit of information about what happened out here?
Yes, we were dispatched tonight at 10:17 to an extrication from a rescue on a tree on a house. We arrived on scene 5 minutes later. It took us about 52 minutes. We removed 3 victims under the age of 18, where everything appears to be non-life threatening. They were transported by Metro EMS to Crozet Children's Hospital.
Are you able to talk to me about just the work that you all did out here, the difficulty that you all may have faced as you're trying to get these people out?
We called in our specialty rescue companies that specialize in structural collapse and things like that. I don't have a lot of information on what they had to do to remove them, but it appears to use some airbags and other equipment we have for this type of situation.
How are they doing? Were they all alive?
Yes, they appear to be non-life-threatening injuries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll continue to be out here a little bit later throughout the evening, updating you with more information after the tree fell on the house out here on Wordle Avenue. 3 people removed from the home. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Jamie.
We've got you covered on damage in the areas as severe storms move through.
It was a lot of damage. About 48,000 at LG&E and KU reporting without power. 27,000 here in the Louisville area.
We're going to take a break. We'll have sports right after this.
Right now, this is WLKY News at 11.
As severe weather continues to impact people throughout the area, Nelson County emergency management officials say they're working on some improvements in technology to keep the community safe.
WLKY's Jamie Mays went to Nelson County to find out how recent investments are improving communications and emergency response times in that area.
In times like this, in tornado season, I mean, even seconds matter. So we want to try to give them as much advance notice as we can.
Brad Metcalf, Nelson County Emergency Management Director, says seconds is all it takes to save lives. That's why the county is investing in technology improvements to ensure the community stays safe. He says they've partnered with Verizon to have their emergency service equipment placed on their tower.
That worked out well for everyone because in this area we actually don't have very good cell phone coverage, and we have next to almost no radio coverage in some of these places. So that leads to slower response times, increase in callback times. With this new tower, it will probably increase tenfold the amount of service area that we have in the southern end of the county.
And he says the judge executive and the Nelson County Fiscal Court have budgeted for $750,000 for 2 more towers and needed equipment in other areas of the county. He says the goal is to ensure every emergency service has the radio coverage they need to respond in times of emergencies. In addition, they've bought 7 more tornado sirens to add to the 18 they already have. And they've incorporated the National Weather Service's Weather Warn system, which Metcalf says will lead to faster response time and other benefits.
So with the Weather Warn system, what it does is it allows National Weather Service to set off the sirens for us. And only the sirens inside the small polygon box or the red shaded areas, only those sirens will go off, so it affects those people in that area.
Metcalf says these changes will enhance emergency preparedness as well as the safety of the community and first responders. In Nelson County, Jamie Mays, WLKY News.
Nelson County Emergency Management says Verizon's tower went live this week. They're still working to install all 7 of the tornado sirens they bought last year.
Jay Cardosi's still tracking some storms for us, and Somerset got really hit hard, right, Jay?
Yeah, they did. A tornado no doubt touched down in the Somerset area. We're still kind of deciphering what happened down there, the damage, whether there are people involved. So we'll continue to gather information throughout this night and update you. Now, this is Bullitt County near Bullitt East. Check out some of this damage sent in to us, and you can see the trees knocked over. This was a very common sight once that wind field really started to crank, and it did so close to the metro and points off to the south. Really, if you draw a line from 64 and points off to the south across the Commonwealth, that's where this wind field really started to gather force, and it swept across just about the entire southern one half of the WLKY viewing area, including the metro. So a lot of reports of trees down, and that leads me to this. It's Friday night. A lot of people are out or maybe are going to be going out early tomorrow morning when it's still dark. If you're traveling, slow it down. Even though the rain will be done, the weather's turning beautiful. Watch for debris in some of the roadways because this was a widespread wind event, especially across the Commonwealth. All right, let's get over to the radar now. Let's go over to Lynx 1 if we could. And we're still tracking a few stronger storms. The metro, we are certainly done. But as we go a little bit farther off to the south, we do have some pretty heavy storms ongoing, especially down here in Taylor, Greene, and Adair counties of Kentucky. And where you see this heavier rain, that's where the wind could still be upwards of 60, 65 miles an hour. We've had reports, wind gust reports in Campbellsville, close to Greensburg, and points off towards the west-southwest just over the past 10 to 15 minutes of still some pretty high winds. And those high winds are just about ready to move out of the viewing area, and the entire viewing area will be settling down. Rick, you were talking about Somerset. Mo, let's go over to the Somerset area here, if you would, for me. And we still have the tornado warning that is in effect now off to the east of Somerset. So this has been a long track supercellular thunderstorm still rotating violently. Still appears that there is a tornado on the ground now east of Somerset, heading off towards the northeast of Mount Vickery. So this is one that we will continue to gather information about. You likely have some friends and family in south central, southeastern Kentucky where this powerful tornado went through, and we will definitely keep you posted on any and all damage information that comes in from that violent tornado that touched down and appears to still be on the ground. But as far as the severe threat goes in the WLKY viewing area, we are pretty much out of the woods as everything is racing off to the southeast. The rain, the storms will be ending shortly in our southeastern communities. In the metro and points off to the northwest, we are in the clear. A beautiful weekend is on the way. Much more to come. Stay with us right here on WLKY. Let's toss to a commercial break.
Today is a severe alert day. Now is the time to charge your devices. Enable notifications on the free WLKY app and stay prepared. Turn to WLKY Weather everywhere you check your forecast.
We want to update you now on the storm damage in Louisville's Taylor Berry neighborhood.
That's where storms have toppled a tree there. We're going to Jamie Mays, who is off Wordle, which is just off Central Avenue, about a mile west of Churchill Downs. Jamie?
Rick, Vicki, we were able to move just a bit closer to give you hopefully a better view of this tree through this house here. You can see these are the branches here behind there. This trunk of the tree has completely smashed right through this home. There's been some, it's completely damaged this home here, as well as done some damage to the car. We were told that there were 3 people inside of this house, mainly young people under the age of 18 who were trapped inside of here. Louisville Fire Department was able to successfully rescue all 3 people out of this home. It was definitely something that was difficult for them this evening with the strong winds and this tree through this home, trying to get these people out of the house. But they say that luckily they were able to get them out. All of those people inside the home were okay. We got here just as the last person was being rescued outside. We could hear neighbors cheering, many of them just really happy that everyone who was inside made it out okay. We'll continue to update you with more information, and if we learn anything else, we'll let you know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Sounds like a good news there, and
yes,
it's relatively good news considering how strong these storms could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what happened out in Missouri, western Kentucky.
4 dead in St. Louis area.
Yes. And what happened in Somerset, we don't even know, but it appears to be some pretty extreme damage. Yeah, we came out of this fairly unscathed. Let me show you the radar right now. We still have our far, far southeastern communities down near Campbellsville, Greensburg, and also Columbia and Adair County. Still some strong winds down that way, but those storms should soon be moving out, and it's just about the cleanup, obviously, the next couple of days, getting power restored and all the debris out of the roadways. And again, we'll keep you posted as more and more damage reports come on in. Of course, we will pass them on to you. And we're not done just yet. We're going to be here. The entire weather team is still here until this thing gets out of here for good. We'll be with you throughout the night.
You and Matt and Suzanne and Mo and Eric, great job again.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.
Stay with us. We've got more continuing coverage right here. The gang's all here.
Yep. Go Bears.
We now join our regularly scheduled programming already in progress.